Hit the button, man. Hurry it up, bro. Like, come on.
Right.
You got a show to do, bro.
D put out a video right for you.
All right, hey everyone, welcome to Real Deal Xbox Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Joining us live. We're trying to ramp up our energy. We tried everything.
Like, come on.
All right.
Got a
But you
show
know
to
what?
do, bro.
Let's go ahead and let me go ahead and mute that. Let me go ahead and mute this. So today's gameplay is Colt Eastwood and I playing Saints Row. What is this for? And a little bit of co-op. And of course, we got a ton of great topics. A phenomenal panel. Fonzarelli will be a little bit late. Another vasectomy. I don't know why he keeps going back to the same guy with the in the backyard and whatnot. But he'll be here a little late, but he'll be here. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit that like button. Share this out for us. Help us out a little bit if you haven't already. Thank you so much. And of course, well, you know what? We're gonna get right into some intros, some shout outs. Colt Eastwood, thanks for joining us, buddy.
I'm doing all right, I suppose.
I suppose. Unless you're
thanks for having me on my
secrets.
show. I appreciate it. Or your show.
You
Yeah,
got to stop
thank
saying that, Colt Eastwood. You know what?
Well, actually, somebody
it's kind
told me
of.
I should say it.
We all know it's D-Batch's show, so
It is.
you really got to stop lying to everyone.
Talented.
D-Batch is the OG, though.
He
He's
is.
like one of the OGs, RDX.
Yep, he replaced all day. Got him in here real quick. So you know what? We're gonna go ahead and give D-Batch a shout out. What's going on, buddy?
Oh, I'm chilling, man. I gotta say, I'm excited. I just got the notification that my Oculus Quest is being shipped out. Now I can watch stuff on. I can play games.
You can play
without
games.
words.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Yeah.
Well, you know, D-Match will know what you'll be doing for the next 5 weeks. Hey, Tim Dog, how you been, brother? Good to have you back.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you got to turn the gain down on that microphone.
All right. The game's going down a little bit. Happy to be here. As you know, I don't like intros. Just ready to get ready, rock and roll.
Your new name's gonna be the Clip Master. You're clipping so hard. I got you turned on my end, but I guess it's on your end. You're clipping pretty hard. It might be new. Don't fuck with it now. You're good.
I thought you said
But
something else.
hey, yeah, okay. Zachary, how you been, buddy?
I'm doing great. You know, happy to be here. Tim's on fire tonight, folks. You guys have no idea.
Mhm.
You heard the pre-chat. He's going crazy over there. Snorted something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doritos.
we have some awesome
we don't even know.
topics.
Yeah. Could be anything.
So it's banned substance. That's all I know. Yeah. So dude, topics are gonna be fucking awesome. And look at the chat, dude. They're
Fucking
all ready,
Wilmy
bro.
Hood already fucking trolling his ass off in
Wilmy
the chat.
Hood, what the fuck?
You know,
dude? During
Wilmy
my
Hood just does it just because he can. He said, "Fuck it. Look, here's $100. Thanks, Cole, for having Dealer on your show. Thanks, Wilmy Hood. Appreciate it."
Oh.
You know what? This is I'm gonna have to do something about this. Hey, we've also got Sid in the chat. He says, "Finally, I'm able to catch RDX live. Thank you so much, buddy. I hear you're a gamer score monster. So thanks for showing up and rocking out with us live." So
I'm not on the floor. So throw it up.
again, Fonz will be here. He's running a little bit late, but in the meantime, I want to give my patrons a shout out. You guys are awesome. We got Dave. Thank you so much, Dave. We got the great one for real. Shout out to him. I think you and him played a game yesterday, Colt. I just found his messages in my approved whatever Xbox filter, whatever it is they got in there now. Johnny Virtuous, Foreign Object, Teo, John Blue, Darth Chaos, The Bad Boy Live. Yeah, I haven't heard from him, and hopefully he's good. Beg Boss, Deviator X. I've also got Obi-Wan FTW, who went to the Redmond campus yesterday. Had a little chat, and pretty interesting stuff. He talked to some people about. Tasteless Genie, Scout Trooper 74, Centurion 1307. We've also got Real Deal Neil. Shout out to him, Suicide King, him too, Michael Bone, him too, Guillermo the Legend, him too, Chanagram, him too, all of you, and as well as Naughty Nubbin, Alfonso Hogan, A Squad, Slim 73. And everyone else in the chat. That's the shout out tier. If you want to join that tier, you can do that. That starts the first of every single month. But all the patrons that are active, your name should be scrolling across the top of the screen. Please message me if anything's wrong there. But last I checked, you should be there. Oh my God.
I love all those names. I love all those names too. Whenever you read them off, like it always makes me smile.
Yeah,
I like 'em.
it should. Yeah, they're some of the coolest people ever. They really, like I said, they're kind of podcast sponsors, if you will. So we've got a pretty big topic at first while we let some more people file in. And it's a doozy. And I just want to say that before we get into the rest, if I can get to the right tab here. I've also got to give a shout out to almost 500 people already watching us live. Guys, again, if you haven't, let's try to get to 500-600 likes at the end of the show. 1,000 after the fact. Share this out for us. Help us out a little bit. You guys rock. Rod Ferguson leaving the coalition. He's leaving, Tim Duck. He gone. He said he doesn't want to be there no more, and Xbox sucks. What do you think about that?
Xbox dead.
Well, I can tell you that Xbox still wanted him, so it was definitely something that he left for his own reasons. It's a loss for Coalition, but in a way, it's possibly something that they can work off of. They can either, have a little flexibility, but from what I heard, he's a loss. It's a definite.
They wanted to keep him on board. He just said
they
nope.
wanted to keep him, and he left for I guess a different opportunity for himself, which it's that's free marketplace.
Hey, let me give a shout out to Darj Knight because he stayed up pretty late in the UK there in London. He says, "Have a great show. Catch the rest on demand tomorrow." Zalker is the peasant. Thank you very much, Darj. Universal fan.
How you gonna do me like that, man?
How you gonna do it like that? Hey, but seriously, Rod Ferguson, he worked in the original Gears of War. He was kind of like Cliffy B's right-hand man, and then he went and worked on BioShock and some other things, BioShock Infinite, and now they came back and he led the team on Gears 5. I think probably the best Gears campaign ever. And he's leaving. He's going to Blizzard. And you know what? Khalifi B stepped up. He took advantage. He said, "Look, Microsoft, I know I just kind of came out with Lawbreakers and that one cell phone battle royale game didn't go well, but I'll consult for you. Just let me know." Putting that out there. Colt Eastwood, when you heard about Cliff Bleszinski wanting to come back and run Gears again, there was a certain energy around the fans. They wanted that to kind of happen again, but again, half of them talk shit before. So how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I've been following him for a couple of years on Twitter because he's pretty active on there. And he's always said, "Leave me alone. I'm not coming back to video games. Don't you get it?" I like the guy. People give him crap. I like the guy, but it's important to know that consult means, he has ideas he'd like to share with the team and see if they'd like to use them and kind of pay him to kind of direct some ideas he didn't get to do in Gears while he was with Epic. So.
But he said the last game he pitched to him, something about ask him about dragonflies. Hopefully he's not trying to put dragonflies in Gears.
Well,
I mean, just for those who don't know, he led the team he led the team at Epic for Gears of War 1 and 2 and 3. And then, he kind of they bought it out. What are you doing now? Okay.
Also, he's got another super chat. He says, "Do you think there's a small chance that they would bring back Cliffy?" I don't know. I was about to say before you put that up, Wilmy, that the other day Cliff said, "I put those feelers out to Microsoft and I haven't heard one word yet."
Really?
Which is super dumb.
I'm not
super
surprised.
Dumb. Like somebody should get back to Cliffy and say, what are we looking at? Like what kind of like deal do you want to strike? Like you want to sit in and
but do they need him? That's my question to you, Colt. Do you think they need Cliff? I mean, how do we know they don't have? Because remember, David Jaffe led God of War 1, I do believe. And then Corey Barlog, maybe it's on 3 or something. I think Corey ended up taking over after Jaffe left or something like that, and Corey ended up making the best God of War ever, in my opinion. Maybe there's a guy under Rod that can come up and has got great ideas. I mean, do you think they need Cliff?
Well, I'm sure they have tons of ideas they couldn't put into 5 that they're saving for 6, but I don't know. I'd still think that phone call should be made. Like if Cliffy wants to come back, I keep saying Cliffy because everybody's writing that. If Cliff wants to come back and do something or pitch some ideas, I don't know, give it a shot.
I think it's actually, I think this could be like, it sucks that he's gone because Rod is such a fucking superstar, but Rod has been like the guy that goes somewhere lately and fixes it. Like he went to BioShock Infinite. He went there because it was in like limbo, and he fixed it, gave him direction, got it done. Gears after Judgment again was kind of in limbo. That he went there, fucking killed it. Gears 5 is the best Gears I've played. I fucking love it. Did really good, and then now he's going to Diablo, which again, Diablo 3. Hate to break it to people, I've played that game fucking hours upon hours, and yeah, it's okay, but it doesn't feel like Diablo.
Hey, Ermi says, remember when Mikey Barr roasted Cliffy B? Good times. And then we've got Yosemite who says, offer still stands in quotations from Cliffy. He says, it sounds like the Xbox team basically said, well, thanks, but no thanks.
Damn.
Right. It kind of does.
But I don't think I don't know about the Cliffy B thing, but like we've talked about before, maybe the Coalition is making a new IP. Maybe this is because of that. Maybe it is that he kind of felt like, oh, maybe I want to go to Diablo because it's a passion project, right? Or something because Blizzard has a lot of pull back in the day. People love Blizzard. Like I love Blizzard because of what they've done before. Maybe they want to work on those games that they loved. But I think the new IP, that could be something that happens and they don't really need Rod for it. maybe it's a new idea coming in that somebody's heading.
Well, I mean, Tim said it himself. They didn't want him to leave, but D-Batch, what do you guys say on this?
Well, first with Cliffy, I don't know, man. Since he left Microsoft, he's been pretty toxic, man. And gamers remember all the stuff that he was saying.
Shit.
And his over cocky attitude. Now, I'm not gonna take anything away from his talent, because fuck, the guy can design games. So Gears of War is an all-time favorite, especially for Xbox fans. So I'll give him that. But since he's left, his attitude has been really, really shitty, and he hasn't proven himself. He's had a bunch of duds. So I know Microsoft, they kind of shy away from controversy. So I don't think his attitude that he's displayed since he's left Microsoft fits the Microsoft.
So you're saying he's been being a fuck boy and they haven't forgotten?
Yeah. That's for one. The thing with Rod, the last thing I heard was that Gears was taking a break. I heard they were going to take like a 2-year break or something from the franchise. So that would have left him with 2 years of fucking twiddling his thumbs, right? If he wants to go and work on, his favorite franchise, his favorite game, all the power to him. I'm sure money was involved too, and I'm sure there was more money to be made. And these guys, at the end of the day, yes, they're loyal to a certain extent, but they're in it to make money and support their family. So I'm not mad at him. I think the foundation's been set for.
I ain't mad at you.
I'm sure the foundation's been set for Gears. Like, Gears is in good hands.
Well, let me ask Fonz, because Fonz has kind of came into Gears of War 4, hearing all the negativity from people on Twitter, and even though it's an 84 or whatever on Metacritic, they thought it was trash because, of course, it's an Xbox game. He came in, played Gears 4. He's like, wow, surprised by this. Came in, played Gears 5. He saw his review. Pretty good review. Fonz, you liked Gears 5 a lot. What are your thoughts on this, and do you think they need Cliff Bleszinski?
No, they don't need him. I really don't think that Cliffy is well, I mean, considering his last project was a big flop, I mean, I don't understand what the big hubbub is about bringing him back or whatnot. I mean, the Gears franchise just needs to move forward anyway, in my opinion. I mean, they've moved on without him. They've done well without him. There's no reason for us to spend real money on the guy. I don't think so anyway.
Well, maybe they can pay him like $3. What do you think about that?
Oh, snap.
Like a minimum wage? Yeah. They can give him minimum wage and just have him work on, some weird off-brand game, set in the 80s.
You got to admit, though, Gears of War 1, 2, and even 3, too many people were very, very special for the time. Maybe that was just the right place, right time, you think?
But that's the thing. People, a lot of people complain that Gears has been stuck in the past anyway. Even with the current Gears 5. As good as it is, it's still Gears. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not much change to the franchise. And I think bringing back Cliffy, I mean, do you really see a change coming with him? I don't think so, man.
I think the team just needed a little bit more time on 5 to flush out maybe some customization, fill out the open world with maybe some more interesting side things to do. But
yes. But do you think that Cliffy B would bring anything new to the franchise? I don't think so.
It's hard to say, man.
I think Cliffy would, but the thing with Cliff, I think that Cliff is an idea dude. I don't think he's an execution dude. I think that he worked
need
well
idea
with Rod.
dude, Zucker.
I know, I understand that, but what I'm saying is that just because he has an idea doesn't mean he can't fucking execute it. And I think that's what Rod is. Rod is the guy that can execute that shit.
Yes.
So I think they worked together very well, because if you looked at some of the concept art that Cliffy brought up, like the zombies on dragons or whatever the fuck it was, that shit looked awesome. Like, it looked cool.
Doesn't concept art always look awesome, though? That's the thing about it.
I know that, but the idea of it is you're thinking about it. You're like, wow, it's kind of a cool idea, but you need to execute it correctly. And that's what Rod Ferguson is going to do. And so just bringing Cliffy by himself means fuck all, right? Because he can't do anything because he can't execute it. So I think that they need to have Rod and him work together, or just somebody that can execute to work with Cliffy as a consultant, right? Like, hey, give us a cool idea that you've been thinking of and have this guy execute it.
No disrespect to other Zinc, but he says that Fonz doesn't play Gears 5. You're wrong. I've played Gears 5 many times. I beat the game. It's not a bad game.
It's fine. I mean, a million people that talk shit on Spider-Man and God of War and never fucking played it. It reminds me of the people that talk shit on Crackdown 3 and never fucking played it. It's like, shut the fuck up, So again, I want to go ahead and we can wrap this shit up. And Cliffy, it is what it is. It'd be interesting, but it's too expensive to take a risk on something like that on a franchise that really needs a little bit of a break and a little bit of more innovation, right?
Crackdown 3 was really fun.
Well, yeah, I have something to say on this. I don't think it's the money with Cliff. I think it's more of his
Culture.
Attitude, culture, and now the story goes that Lawbreakers was pitched to Xbox first, and they gave him like a real over the top amount of money, and Xbox passed on it. So I think that there's a little bit of I don't think that they were happy about that, the whole Lawbreaker thing. I think that they felt like that was obviously the way he went about it, they weren't the most happy with the way he went about it, and that's part of the reason why I think that they steered clear. Like when I saw it, I thought it was nice of Cliffy to do, and I do think like the way I am, I would, even though that I have said in the past that he's sometimes stupid and this and that, I would explore it, or I would just make a phone call. But being that there was no phone call made, it just shows you that the interest or the ability for Xbox or Microsoft to get involved with somebody like Cliffy is just not going to happen. So I would definitely think it's...
Hey, we got to give a shout out to Merc 305. What's going on, buddy? So you know what? That's an interesting topic. We've been on it for a little bit. We got to give a shout out to almost 900 people watching live, guys. If you haven't, consider hitting the like button, sharing this out for us a little bit. I'm starting to speed up. Red Bull's starting to kick in. So you know what? We're going to ramp up the energy and get things moving on to the next topic here. You know what? What is this? Samsung and Xbox starting a partnership. They have announced this officially, and this comes soon after them basically pressuring Microsoft to try to support ultra-wide monitors on the next generation Xbox, which I absolutely believe some developers may go for, but that'll be a dev-by-dev cases. No matter what, I think they'll have to design parameters around the performance in the box to support that many more pixels in that aspect ratio. But Samsung basically saying that they have announced a partnership. You might know about this, but the partnership with Xbox and Microsoft on the S20. What does that even mean? I didn't really look into this. This is a last minute topic.
Yeah. So they have a partnership with Microsoft. I guess it's going to pertain to the S20, the S20 Plus, and the S20.
What is that for people who don't know?
Well, those are the new phones that they announced today. So the S20. They all got ridiculous specs, man. These phones are shooting like 8K. They have
8K in a phone.
Yeah, they have 5G. They have 120 hertz screen, and that's where I think it's important with the gaming aspect. 120 hertz at
OLED
on an OLED screen on a fucking.
It's gonna look really good, is what you're saying.
It's gonna look fantastic. It's gonna look fantastic. So they
battery life 3-4 hours.
Yeah. Hey, to be really honest with you, these Samsung phones, they fucking last long. I charge my phone every day and a half. Anyways, you must be an Apple guy.
So basically, you think this partnership, 8K, maybe they'll have camera. Like an 8K camera. Then maybe they'll have a partnership with the xCloud app on every phone, or how's that partnership going to work?
So how I think the partnership is going to work is I think, they do their behind the scene deals, but I think what's going to happen is you're going to get like maybe 6 months of Game Pass and xCloud service if you're a Samsung Galaxy owner. I think they're going to announce that probably after Microsoft announces their console and the details with that console, because I'm sure xCloud is going to be tied into something somewhere, right? So yeah, I think that's what's basically going to happen. I think that's a good thing, because when you really think about it, Samsung phones are the number one Android phones. Millions and millions of people have that phone. And xCloud doesn't, well, yeah, you can use it with your on-screen prompts, which sucks, but xCloud, you can also attach your controller to it. And having that fidelity on that phone, and, most of these users are probably going to be new to the ecosystem, and they see what's capable with xCloud. Hopefully after their 6 months, they're going to say, wow, this is a great service. Let me reinvest into it, and hopefully they'll become Game Pass subscribers. So it's a lot of potential for Microsoft here. This is a big deal. Anyone that's trying to make it out like it's not a big deal, it is a big deal, because these are millions and millions of potential customers that Microsoft wouldn't necessarily have access to.
Well, people still don't understand like how xCloud is going to be leveraged, and how it could, like we've talked about a million times, like quadruple your install base in a month if it goes right. Every 4G device, 5G device.
Yeah.
It's nuts, man.
And what people think, oh, it's
Yeah.
not gonna replace the consoles. Listen, we know it's not gonna fucking replace the consoles. But to be honest with you, to sit there and play it for like an hour to kill some time, or someone punked you off of your TV or whatever the reason is, it's fucking fun, and you can do everything you
Yeah.
can do on your normal system, and you can continue your progress from where you were on your console or on your computer. It's fucking sick.
Shout out
And
to
it's-
Southbound 110 in the
Very
chat as well.
different. People are looking at this very different. They're looking at this as Microsoft looking for a way out of the console space, and that's just
It's
not
ridiculous.
That's just not what's going on.
Do people really think that, Fonz? Are they just being idiots on purpose to try to push a narrative?
I think some fanboys are pushing a narrative, yet their followers, some of them, really do believe what they say, and they run with it. And
But
that's
Phil
the
has
problem.
been upfront that the xCloud is not, streaming will not replace local hardware.
So
for many,
were
many,
Sony
many,
trying
many
to
years.
replace console gaming years ago with PS Now? Because remember, they
I
did
don't
this shit
know.
years ago.
I know.
Well, how many times
Phil
does Phil have to say over and over that consoles will be there as long as there's
But
demand?
Sony
He
never
said
even
it
came out
different
and really even
quotes.
said anything like that. And they had Last of Us and all your exclusives on the Samsung TV. I mean, you could stream it right from your TV.
Phil
I know
Spencer, it's not verbatim, but he did say recently, he said something in an article that said, look, we at Xbox aren't going to dictate when consoles leave this space.
Yeah.
We're going to leave that up to the behavior of those out there, of the gamers, basically. Their purchasing, power is key. And if they keep demand up for consoles, the consoles are going to be there. They're going to keep coming.
It's the fanboy nonsense, Fonz, because people will stop buying, or they'll stop making consoles the same time when people stopped buying, DVD players. Like I'm sure Sony would love to continue making
It's
DVD
a bad
players.
example.
Well, no, it's not actually.
I mean, they
because,
stopped making their 4K Blu-ray players, and Samsung did. I mean, they're already phasing those out, kind of.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's because that's become the digital market. Like you're not in the DVD player business when people stop buying DVDs and stop buying DVD players.
Oh, you're saying
Like
where
the
there's demand, they'll provide.
Where there's like as and I've told people multiple times in the late 2030s, as internet grows exponentially, like we may get to a point where we're like we are now, like I don't even use a DVD player, or I don't really use a CD player.
Mhm.
And people think, oh, right now the world, it's horrible. The infrastructure in the world for internet is terrible. It's like, look, we're not talking about right now or next year. And Phil said that up front. He's basically had to almost outright say, we're going to keep making consoles because that's going to be the way to play for a long time. But you just have to remember, like the world average internet speed is 11 megabits per second. And Tim, what's the minimum requirements for xCloud?
I believe
It's 9 or something. It's 9 or 10.
well, he said 4 to 7, but now it's 10. Realistically, I think it's 10 or over.
10.
This is in the same
Right. So
space, yeah.
basically the xCloud minimum, with how like it's only half-hearted right now. Like they're trying to get streaming going. GeForce Now is doing really well, but it's just funny because we're kind of in the beginning of it and we're already almost there. Like just let it happen. Like people are so stuck in their ways. They would rather champion their favorite plastic than let the world do what it does, and that's advance and get bigger and better.
But Hype
and,
to be cast said you don't even need an Xbox player favorite exclusives. Well, does he not understand that Sony have already announced their games on PS Now and stuff like that coming to those services, and that those services are going to every device and all that?
why is that bad, dealer? If you don't even need all.
So
the games that
I just want to ask him though, like, would he not play God of War, one of the best games ever made, in my opinion, on local hardware if he has a choice? Would he go out of his own way because he doesn't need to play it on a cell phone, or is he like me and would want it in that full experience, locally powered? Is it that cell phone is meant to be some kind of supplemental experience, or is he just being silly on purpose?
Or would you like to play that game on PC and like the settings that you want to play on the monitor you want? Like it's that fanboy nonsense I started my conversation when I was responding to
Woo!
Fonz.
You know
The
what?
thing that annoys me about this whole conversation, honestly, is that everybody just says Xbox is trying to get out of it. You guys understand that like every fucking company would rather you not buy a piece of hardware. They would rather sell you just the software, like every company.
And that's why Sony started PS Now years and years and years before Microsoft started streaming. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, no, and it's just dumb. Like people think, oh, well, Sony wants to make a console, and it's always going to be like that. Like, no, man, no company wants to go through the R&D, testing, everything. Like it costs money to make consoles. It costs millions upon millions of dollars.
They have to make that back, right?
Yeah, and they have to make it back, and that's the point. So like every company's like, yeah, fuck it, I'd rather go software.
You know what?
You know what?
I
Nobody's
agree.
saying that they're doing that.
I agree with Poe. I can't even. Sorry, FPS. That's what your name is. I agree with you in the chat. It's time for the next topic, okay? And I want to give this one to Zalka since he's rolling off of this one. And it comes off of not only an interview by Phil Spencer, one of them that we'll talk about today, but we've also got an article, I do believe, from Forbes, who says the console war is over. Microsoft have left Sony behind. This is something that we've been talking about. Nobody is set up for the future like Microsoft in terms of local hardware, low-end console coming, high-end, highest-end console coming, PC, you got Game Pass on PC and console cross-play, cross-save, and then you've got xCloud, which again could potentially quadruple your install base in a matter of months if it goes well on every 4G device. You're looking at Xbox users at 50 million install base to 200 million because everyone has xCloud apps on their phone. I don't think people understand the global scale of gaming and where that's going and all that install base that gives access to developers like never before. I think this is what this interview is talking about, Zalker. They left Sony behind. I think Sony are a few years behind.
Yeah, and I actually made a video about this, and Phil basically said like, well, I don't think Nintendo and Sony can compete with us in basically the streaming. Like they can't. And he said we invested tens of billions of dollars into our cloud infrastructure. Years ago. And they've done it for the last 10, 12 years. They've been investing this. So Sony knows that, and Google knows that, and Amazon know that. So they know where they can compete. And that's what people are talking about. They don't understand like this.
It's also talking about overall revenue.
Business.
Like Sony cumulatively isn't even worth what Xbox Live by itself is worth. Whereas Amazon and Google are the other companies at the $1 trillion overall worth, like Microsoft. People don't think about that either. And
you know, this is a big deal because Phil's never really said that, right? Where he's like, they're not really our competition, these guys are. He came out and just fucking said that. He was just like, yeah, Amazon and Google are our fucking competition. And to some extent, you know, you're going to see this around like Tencent, right? That company's been really building up and getting pretty big. So that's another company that they worry about. They're not worried about fucking Sony, people. They're not. It's just not.
Now, Mike wants to know if Xbox have games people want to play. I don't know. I mean, certainly they have the best rated racing games. I mean, if you like Gran Turismo, you might not want to say anything. They definitely have the highest rated first person shooters for any kind of ecosystem. I mean, they have things that people just discount. You know,
they have the best multiplayer experience. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How hard is it for people to understand when they read an article like that it's plain as can be, man. Like it jumps right out at you that the company is focused on a totally different narrative than what PlayStation is focused on. And that's not necessarily a bad thing for PlayStation or Xbox. Xbox is going for that global reach. They don't have what Sony has in terms of accessibility when it comes to people, buying their products overseas, in different countries, Asian countries and such. They're all, they've given, basically they've had a hard time selling their consoles everywhere else besides America. We know this. But the thing is, at the end of the day, they're trying to get after that global reach. They're trying to get more players involved into the Xbox ecosystem, into the brand. It just makes sense from a business standpoint for people to take his quote and take it way out of context and say, well, he's no longer competing with Sony. No, it's not that at all. They're still in competition in terms of, yes, games, and people are going to want to sell the consoles still. That's still going to be there. But when you look at the whole grand scheme of things, it's about that global reach. It's about those people that they can access out there. And yes, do they have a leg up on Sony and Nintendo in that space? Of course,
at least right now.
You said it. But look, look at Sony. Sony is trying to go after that slowly but surely. They are trying. Look, they bought into Azure. They're trying to get something going there. Exactly, partnered with Microsoft there. They're trying to they've already got stuff going on phones over there in Japan and stuff. There's PS4 games on their phones.
And Phil talked about that recently. We'll go over that as well. I mean, I'd love to even ask Mike, Mike's in the chat, by the way.
How do people not understand that this is what Phil is talking about, and this is what the company's direction is? This has nothing to do with just hey, we're just forgetting about Sony. We're not looking at Sony at all. No, they're looking further than that. The industry is evolving, is what I'm trying to say, and that's what people have to understand. It's changing.
Fonz, when these people read these articles, as soon as they get to the part where Phil says, "Yeah, we're not competing against Sony and Nintendo or whatever. That's it. They stop reading the article and that's it. And they get on Twitter.
On a global scale, no, Sony and Nintendo aren't competing with Microsoft, and that's a fact. Mike Ibarra says he'd call in right now, but to straighten Tim out, but he's at a work dinner. So thanks for Mike stopping by again to check us out.
Yeah, Mike,
context,
keep talking, Mike.
Mike's in the chat, shit talking.
No, but I would say, like, the thing that I'm happy that Phil said is that he basically full on said, we're not getting in a platform like war with these guys, like a hardware, whatever, like, oh, it's just PlayStation and Xbox. Like, it's not like that. And I'm glad he said that, because honestly, that shit gets toxic. Like, it just
let little Zucker finish his thought.
If all they have to do, if all you have to do, guys, is complain about Xbox or complain about PlayStation, you need to take up knitting or something. Get some fucking hobbies.
Okay. I was going to ask you something.
Like, it's
For real though. Why does he say that they're not going to get into a platform war with Sony? Why? Because you know what? Even to the Sony guys, it's never been about,
because the platform is the ecosystem.
About the games. It's been about the games at the end of the day. And now the whole narrative is changing. Well, it's not about the games. It's not about the ecosystem. It's about the platform itself. No, the console means dick all.
Everything means. I mean, it's everything. Everything means everything. Like, it's all part of the same plan.
The thing is, that's just one branch of Xbox.
Exactly.
The console. And there's so many other.
And Sony are going the same way though. It's not that Sony are doing one thing and Microsoft trying to do. No, do you guys understand that Sony are literally job listings left and right doing the same shit? This is why they partner with Microsoft. So they could, hey, can we put our PS5s in your server racks and have backwards compatibility in the streaming just like Xbox? That's what they're going to do. They're bringing their games to PC, like it or not. Horizon Zero Dawn is coming. We know there's more. There's just the beginning. They're doing the same shit. Do people not understand that? It's not that one's taking one approach and the other one just, no. They all know it. Microsoft were the first to it. Mike actually put little chevrons here pointing to a quote that something we've said before. Kenta in the chat, he says that the cloud is the biggest picture, or is the bigger picture, especially for Asian markets, which Phil just talked about. That's an absolute fact. In Japan, every cell phone is an Xbox. They have a very hard time getting in over there. With one app, you can have access to all of those people. I don't think people have quite let this hit them in the face yet. You know what I'm saying? Forget selling the Xbox in the store
right now. It's just that Sony and Nintendo are behind right now. I won't even count Nintendo in this situation because they do their own thing and they succeed. So, I'm not going to say nothing on them. But Sony is just behind in this infrastructure, this whole thing with their servers and stuff. When they do get up to speed, you're damn right they're going to go this route as well. I mean, they've already got the in the Asian countries and stuff. And
I think Sony's kind of realized that ship has sailed, and that's why they went to Microsoft to get the Azure servers. I think Sony is a very prideful company. I don't think they would have went to Microsoft unless they had to go to Microsoft, and they had to. And Microsoft has been investing billions of dollars into this for years. They're so far ahead of everybody else. And of course, this comment that Phil said was pertaining to that. Amazon, Google, these are their competitors because these are the people that have similar infrastructures that will compete for the cloud
And we do get people that don't actually watch the show, and they're going to say this is what we're trying to get. This is I'm local hardware all day long, forever, right? Yep, this is an option that Bill said it's meant to supplement your gaming, not overtake it. It's it'll probably never replace it. I don't think people understand that. That's not what we're advocating. We're just telling you, as we always have for years, exactly where this shit's going to go. Everyone else seems to be not. I hate to say everyone else, but haters seem to not finally just now be seeing this and don't know that we've been saying this for years. It's insane to me, man. It really is. It's mind blowing. See,
I think that people just want to hear, they want to hear I'm going after Sony. This is this is competition. But what Phil said, he's been saying for a long time. Mm-hmm. So this was nothing new. This was just, in my opinion, taken out of context as if Microsoft doesn't view Sony as their competition. Even though he said that, I still believe in
Well, he turned around and said the opposite. He said they will be in competition. That's why they're making all these games. They're pushing first party.
They're still in competition.
Yeah, of course.
Say that, but I think he's talking about their mindset and their direction. But in the actuality, they're still on a competitive field. They're still gonna. If Phil thinks that people aren't gonna go crazy, if Xbox is less powerful than.
Why do you think the Series X exists?
Exactly.
Well,
So
Yeah, right.
and why do you think it's so powerful? I think you know,
Can't wait
people
for
in the
those numbers
chat,
to come out, Timmy.
you know, I think that they're because of Mike and people that were pushing
Mm-hmm.
for a certain spec to meet. I think that, you know, that is because of competition. That's not because, you know, they're forward thinking or anything. They at least at that point they wanted to beat Sony, so they are in the
It's
same concept.
We've said it before, man. It's Mike. Mike is a big part of why they're so competitive with why they're not going to be down on power. And he's even alluded to this publicly, so I can kind of speak on that. But, you know, he's pretty much said they're going to have the best games that developers can make on console. Woomy says, Woomy speaks for a lot of people. He says, we understand this, but of course the fanboys can't grasp the idea. Yes, facts, sir.
It's not even that deep because
that's all.
it's not even that deep because Xbox is in half the regions that PlayStation is in.
Not anymore. Not with xCloud.
Phil's saying they can't sit there and chase the console count with Sony. Like they can't. They can't play the same game.
Sony aren't going to do it either, though.
Well, Sony is in like 75 regions or something, and Xbox is in like 42. The last time I saw a number, it was something like that. So they're in half the regions. Microsoft cannot sit there and play. We're gonna sell more consoles than Sony game. That's not even the same competition. So he's saying there's a bigger world. The funny thing is the console fanboys that only know what they know growing up with the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4 is that console sales matter and exclusives are pushing everything. Well, if exclusives pushed everything, I mean, they do. It's like Dealer said, it's a culmination of everything that makes you want a certain console.
Did you see what Mike said? He said Rod and Mike sitting in a tree.
Yeah.
He said he had to go. He had to go to this dinner. But thanks for stopping by, Bar.
You know what's funny about all this, though, is if Microsoft really wanted to get out of the console space, they wouldn't be doing any kind of cross generation with the original Xbox One. I mean, that tells you right there that, you know, they're bringing along more consoles they're in the next gen, you know. Again, though, we have to stress the fact that what tells you they're getting out of the console space is not investment. They've over doubled their studios. They spent more money than anybody recently. It's not the consoles. They've already announced the next one. They're saying they think they're going to be the most powerful. It's definitely not the platforms that are only spreading their investment, their influence. And Sony have literally tried streaming PS Now for years before Microsoft are really getting into it, but Microsoft trying to do it what they feel is the right way. So Sony are doing the things that people say Microsoft were doing to try to get out, which is try to expand. But now Sony are hiring for more and getting their games on even more platforms, bringing the stuff to PC. We know that's happening. What is it why would you think that Microsoft are now trying to get out? I don't understand. Why. What have they done that Sony haven't tried to do or haven't said they are now following Microsoft's suit? Why even say that?
It's not that. They're just saying that when Phil says we're not really competing with Sony and Nintendo, it's an excuse.
So that's why they're saying they're trying to get out?
They're not saying that Microsoft's trying to get out of the console business. They're just saying, oh, that's just an excuse and damage control for being behind on sales. It's like, oh my gosh.
Being behind on sales.
It's not about, I mean, when the PS4 and the Xbox One came out, the Xbox
So is Netflix
One
trash? Like, I don't buy shit from Netflix. I don't understand.
Well, listen to this. When the Xbox One first launched, they were making like $21 per unit on that thing. PlayStation was making 18. So a couple years in, when PlayStation was starting to double the sales, Microsoft was still making just as much money in hardware sales because they were making more per console. But then when the X and the Pro came out, they were breaking even or taking a little bit of a loss. So you can see how PlayStation and Xbox have to say, look, we can't just rely on console sales. We need to push software. Software has to be really good. We have to get as many people on our live service on Xbox Live or PS Plus. We have to get as many people on PlayStation Now as we can, as many people on Game Pass. And now it's just
like how do businesses grow, right? They have to grow their install base. Don't Call Me White says, get Dave on RDX to call up the shoe shining. Yeah, if you guys didn't know, Dave 8K, the senior hardware director of the Series X, was on a few episodes ago. If you haven't checked that out, check it out. He was pretty tight-lipped there, but it's still a good discussion. That was the week the behind the scene, the backside of the Series X. Well, I guess that was a prototype or development kit or something had leaked online, and we kind of got his live take on that, which is kind of fun. But again, Philly, I'm going to get to yours as well here in a second. We've also got
Fonz. Is your Dave there? I think that's who he's talking about.
Hey, Gene, I'm going to get to your question in a minute. That's actually part of a topic. Thank you so much, sir. We'll definitely get to that. Philly Eagle says, first and last financial, financial comment. He says, the hardware sold is still came within $2 billion in revenue. Microsoft is obviously doing something right. Yeah, they are, because who was it? Everyone's saying how Microsoft has such a bad year, and even D was referencing last show that Sony are going to have similar drops. Wait and see. It's all common sense. It's been done before. And of course, Sony had similar drops, and they both had their second best year ever, or something like that, right? Tim Dog?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get a lot of that panicking. Again, it's all negativity. Ashtray Gaming in the super chat says, for Fonz, because everyone cuts him off every time he speaks. Yeah, good job, Fonz. You get a super chat for that. I don't agree. I don't agree, but Fonz, apparently you get cut off every time. Fonzarelli, since you did get cut off, I guess last time you spoke you got cut off. Let me go ahead and throw this next one to you, buddy. And that goes beyond the Forbes saying, so we all agree Forbes is kind of basically saying what we've been talking about. Microsoft are kind of expanded and global. Sony are not right now in terms of their global competition cloud and all that. Phil also talks about VR, which is probably the worst. Probably the worst thing to give Fonz. So we'll go ahead and give him a different one, actually. If I can find it. I'm kind of out of sync here with my own topics, damn it. Bill Spencer interview, he says, yeah, okay, got that one. Okay, Fonz, you love Halo. I know you do. So we're going to give you a topic right now. Halo Infinite, the engine unlocks basically new capabilities for the future of gaming. Slipspace engine, top of the line. They said that they had to recreate an engine that was both more powerful enough to feature and really max out next-gen capabilities, but is nimble enough for creation because they had a lot of troubles with the last engine building stuff. What do you expect to see on Halo Infinite, especially given the fact they're working tightly with the community? They weren't getting that feedback as they go. Do you have high expectations?
I've got
enough
really,
of Fonz talking. So what I was I'm just joking.
What are you saying, Fonz?
I don't have high expectations, but
that's why it's a good question for you.
I really do think that this Halo Infinite is going to be miles better than Halo 5, which is desperately needed.
Hashtag kill off.
That too. But just them creating a new, engine for it and everything. It just seems like I'm hyped for that. I'm actually hyped for that. I'm a big Halo fan. The original Halo from back in the day. Bungie's Halo is what I'm a big fan of. So I don't know, man. I think that they can definitely do some new things with a new engine, but what that could be, I have no idea, man.
I know it looks amazing. I mean, people keep talking about how it doesn't look good. Do you motherfuckers have 4K TVs? Are you watching that 4K trailer, or did you watch the stream once?
I watched that, and I don't think that it. Look, it looks fine.
Come on, Fonz, don't fraud.
Great.
Come on,
but I don't think it looks amazing in any way, really. I don't see it. Okay,
how not?
It's not a great trailer. I've watched it 70.
I mean, what about the back end where they're showing you all the particles and the new capability there, and they even showed like dynamic fog when the guy fell on the ground.
It's the area that it's that's showing the guy. It's in the ship and everything. There's not too much to be shown. I need to see more than that.
So you think it's it's the level design in that trailer that just didn't do enough?
Yeah. It doesn't look bad. It's just that it's
there's no wow factor.
You know what? Sometimes I just wonder, like, everyone really truly sees what they see, because when I saw that trailer, the last one from
I didn't think it looked amazing.
I thought it looked like CGI.
It's real time 60 FPS as well, D.
I don't know what people are looking at. It looked fantastic to me, man.
To me, you could have done that. You could have done that on the base model PS4.
Oh my god! You couldn't even have done that at half the frame rate. What are you talking about?
I don't see a real big difference between that little scene and any other game, really.
Fonz, I agree with you. What's missing is, like, it's not like a big wow factor. It's in this tight little ship and it's dark. Like, you don't have this expansive, like, awe-inspiring, like, eyes wide open thing. That's kind of what's
that's
missing.
all it is.
He jumps out of the ship and it cuts to a logo. It's like, man.
Yeah.
Like,
I wanted to see more
first trailer from 2017 or 2018, maybe. I can't remember. It had like some of those wide open shots and you could see all the environment. Like, that was a step in the right direction.
So basically, we're just agreeing that it's the location that didn't really show off the art design that might be a little.
If they would have showed it in, like, if he would have touched down on Earth or something, or there was trees and stuff, something to look at that was
Hot
anything worth a damn.
Hey,
Well,
Angel
environment-
Perez, just real quick in the super chat, wouldn't they benefit from a dedicated xCloud device? No, that's actually the benefit to xCloud is you don't need that. And the way that they programmed it, allegedly, it's going to work like it's all cloud-based anyway, so you don't need a dedicated device. That's the thing about cloud. So, no, I don't think there's much of a benefit to that. I think that might actually hold it back, if anything. Some people are thinking that Lockhart's some kind of Switch-like device, and as far as I know, as far as I've been told, everything that we know, it's a 4 teraflop dedicated home console. It is the new Xbox One S of 2020 or whenever it gets announced. We'd always left some stipulations, some leeway into when it might come out, like an NVIDIA mid-range card. They always come out a little bit later or could come out the same day, right? So people, yeah. I kind of get really annoyed when people say, what's the point of it? I'm like, what the fuck? What won Black Friday? Well, what won Black Friday? The lowest end Xbox. It is that Xbox for next generation. You know,
what is the point of any lower end hardware? I mean, so dumb.
This is the point of the Lockhart. 1080p, 60 frames per second, ultra graphics on all the latest games.
Yep.
And
we've already explained the 4 teraflop, but it's going to be at least as quick as the Xbox One X and the GPU with Navi, not GCN. We've explained that a million times. If you haven't seen it, please watch any other show we've talked, any video at all. So, yeah, xCloud is a different plan. It's a different beast. It's a different monster. Thank you so much for your question. Real quick, too, I want to say this. Division 2 right now, it's like $2. And $3. And if you want to grab that, they're doing that because their new Warlords of New York DLC is pretty much leaked ahead of time. They're trying to get many people back into that game as possible for their DLC. So if you haven't already checked that out, maybe check it out.
I probably will.
Well, you've already got the game.
The Warlords
but, yeah.
DLC, what I'm saying. I'll probably check that out.
How much is that going to be, you think? You think it'll be $15, $20? How much do you think it'll be?
I'm hoping it is. I mean, I don't know. I didn't even know it was announced, man. Like, I just I'm learning here. I'm like, oh, really? It's a great podcast.
Oh my gosh, where have you been?
I've been. You know where I've been, man.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Spanning the family. It's great.
Either way, I just want to throw that out there real quick. Bill Spencer also talking about Japan, Xbox Series X, new studios over there, and more. He let slip is a strong way of saying that, but basically he said that they do have partnerships with nearly every single Japanese studio now, or publisher rather, and that was a big problem with this current generation mini games. Just wouldn't come to Xbox. They didn't have any partnerships there. What was that quote
again?
He said that they have a partnership with pretty much every major Japanese publisher over there now. And remember, they built like an Xbox embassy over there, basically, right? I don't know if you guys remember that. So that's what Phil's been working on for several years now. He said it's taken years, and that's why you saw like Yakuza and all that Final Fantasy, all that stuff coming to Xbox on the stage because of all of this work. And he said going forward, you'll see more of those games that will get announced for both. And what was that quote earlier? He was talking about how he cringes, Phil, or Colt.
Phil said that every time he sees a new game come out and it just misses the Xbox, he cringes. And my reaction was good. And that's what put the fire under him. You know, it's been a problem for like 5 or 6 years where all these medium-sized games, or some of them are kind of big, come out that are Japanese-based games, and some really cool ones that they go on Steam, they go on PC, PC and Steam, and they go on. That's the weird thing. Like they go on Steam and they go on PS4, and it's like, isn't that a multiplat? Like, why isn't that on Xbox? And I asked you that question when you first started RDX in 2017. I asked it on this show. I asked you and D. I said, guys, what the heck is with this? Why are these games not going on the Xbox? I
think there's a few reasons, man. And I think, I mean, if I remember correctly, I've always thought this is that one, some developers don't have the money to develop for multiple platforms because they don't have the team to split up, like Hellblade 1. That was put on PS4 because they went to the biggest install base first there.
But if they're making a PC game, why can't they make an x86,
it's
64-bit
because you still got to cut it down,
Xbox?
and it still takes a team of people they don't have. I mean, they built Hellblade with 20 people. How much more can you divide that up?
4.
Exactly. So I think they said it took Ninja Theory 3 years to basically come to a finish on Bleeding Edge, and that's with how big of a team, right? So, and that team's gotten a little bit bigger recently, but it takes the less people you had, the more time it takes. And Hellblade took a while, a budget of like $10 million, and still one of the best looking games I've ever seen. Hellblade 2 looks insane, and people are like But after they got done talking about how their game will run on the base Xbox and all this stuff, and then they look at Hellblade 2, one of the best looking games I've ever seen in my life. It's supposed to kind of give you an idea of what the game looked like, right? Albeit it maybe a different frame rate and resolution. Still, that game will run on the base Xbox.
I don't know about that. I think you could run Hellblade 2 on a base PS4.
Even Hellblade 2 looks a lot better than Halo did.
Well, yeah, it's also at 24 frames per second in that trailer.
Yeah,
Dealer, what's that partnership mean? They're partnering with every major studio.
Basically, they're trying to get those Japanese publishers out on the Xbox day and date, just like PS4. They're trying to get that stuff going, and that does include, things like Square Enix, even though they haven't had as big an issue with them. They're trying to get all the biggest games out day and date.
Well, what's a partnership? Is it like, are they putting like money out there?
They leg wrestled. They said, hey, if I win, you're bringing your games to Xbox. I mean, that's what I'm thinking.
They would put so a partnership is like they'll send developers out there to help them make shit for Xbox, right? Or give them something that's easier to develop on the ecosystem.
Like resources.
Xbox is paying, Xbox is paying their people to go out there and teach them for months on end, right? Or weeks on end to be like, hey, this is how easy it is to develop on the platform.
Well, also it has Xbox.
And then giving them dev kits, obviously, and all this shit, just investing money into it and then building relationships, because you never know what can happen. And that's why Phil goes out there. And he's out there so long because he wants to build relationships with the people running the shit there. So that's the whole point of partnering.
I also think too that Game Pass, or the potential of Game Pass, it has something to do with it too. It's a factor in it as well, because I'm sure some of these developers can see the possibility of Game Pass, and I'm sure some of these guys know some of the numbers. I'm sure when they do their meetings, like, hey, we got 10 million or we got 11 million on this service right now, and I'm sure developers light up, and obviously games that go into Game Pass, these developers are given a certain fee already. So I think that might have something to do with it as well. I'm excited. The more variety that we have on Xbox, the better it is for all gamers. So.
Hey, let me read a few of these real quick. Sovereign Kagito, he says that he's got a lot to say about the ponies, quote unquote. He says basically these guys, they tend to go towards the negative side of every single argument, and it's because they just don't really, I mean, again, I agree with a little bit of what he's saying, but at the same time, I think they're trying to push a narrative, and it's really unfortunate because I don't really see a lot of I don't know. We don't really do that to Sony stuff, if that makes any I don't know, man.
The narrative pushing has been going on since 2014, from being less powered, less pixels, to less variety, to less AAA bangers.
Yeah, he says they're not able to construct a reasonable, intelligent argument, so they're always jumping right to the negatives. And part of it is the article themselves, like Matt Booty's quote, hey, we're going to actually support your Xbox One for a year, maybe two. That went from that to, he never ever once said we won't have any Xbox One Series X exclusives for 2 years. That's what the articles turned that into. There's no quote of him saying that. And that's part of the problem as well. So,
and you can't argue with these extreme guys either, because they just move the goalposts once you debunk whatever they said. So it's just pointless.
Adam O'Patentry, he says Xbox need and should just make their own studios. There is so much talent not working in Japan, and basically saying they should make their own Japanese studio, which isn't a bad idea. And we're going to talk about that as well. I'm not into Japanese games, but that doesn't mean that they shouldn't try to get a little foothold there, and things with xCloud and stuff like that going forward. They definitely got more of one than they ever had before, and he's trying to do things differently with the Series X. Also going to give a shout out to over 1,200 people watching this live, guys. Thank you so much for what you do. Hit that like button. Let's try to crush 500 for the end of the show, 1,000 after the fact. Share this out for us. It really does help a lot. You make this podcast what it is. We do appreciate it. I'm going to go back to my topics here, but long story short, Phil talking about this stuff is he's doing it for a reason. So when he talks about they basically have partnerships with all the major Japanese partners, or most of them now, with all the publishers over there. He's saying that because you can expect to see much more Japanese stuff on the stage, for good or bad. I'm not necessarily excited about it. He also says the number one piece of feedback that he got from those Japanese publishers and developers is, hey, you know what? We love working with you guys on a lot of this stuff, but we don't see Xboxes in the store. You just aren't here. And he says that he wants to change that. He wants to do things differently. He says we're going to do a much better job with the launch of the Series X. They're not going to wait 10 months to get it going over there in Japan like they did with the Xbox One. They waited 10 months to launch it over there, didn't they? So he's saying that they're going to launch the Series X in a much better position. and that they are definitely, xCloud is a big part of that over in Japan. They plan on having that ready and going over there in Japan, and that's going to be really where a lot of that interest comes from. Fawn said it probably the best a while ago, which I understood it at the time, and I still do. He's saying that, maybe we're not interested in Japanese game number 54. Maybe we're not. But you know what? Over there, they can stream it on xCloud, and that probably gets huge engagement over there. Makes perfect sense.
Yep.
D-Batch, I'll give this to you real quick. Phil, he's saying that eventually he wants VR to be a no-brainer to support VR. He hopes that it will be a no-brainer to support it. We had talked about this before. They could always pick VR back up. There's nothing stopping them from supporting it on the new consoles. When do you think that point will be, real quick? And I got to stop you preemptively and say, you got like 30 seconds of VR, D-Batch. He'll go for days. Just like I just did.
It has to be affordable. Once it becomes affordable and we see more AAA experiences, I think that's when it's going to become a no-brainer. And obviously, when wireless becomes the de facto solution, I think that's the major things that are stopping it: the wires and the price of it. I think once we see
what about the games though?
I think once we see headsets coming to $150 and AAA support for VR, I think that's when it'll take off. I think we got about a year and a half before we know the fate of VR.
So it's like kind of like a chicken or the egg type thing. Tim Dog, do you think that it's because VR is too expensive, that the software development's not really there, the killer app's not there, or do you think the killer app's not there, that's why VR headset doesn't really get much investment from consumers?
First of all, sales, you can say what you want. The adoption rate is not really that great. Like you said, it's a money pit, as I've heard. A lot of their games don't sell. Like if you look at MPD and look at how many VR titles there are. I don't think there's been a VR title to get into the top 10 on MPD, let alone top 20. It's just the games, they don't really, sell well. They're not really different. There's a lot that needs to be done with VR, and I'm totally with Phil on this. I think it has to be to a point where it's a no-brainer, and what that means is that the games are selling like crazy, and it's not a money pit, because the fact of the matter is that it's not doing as great as people say or you would think.
There's a lot of challenges to it, basically.
There's a lot of challenges to it now, and Microsoft is going a different direction. They're looking to leverage the cloud services and certain things that they're pushing. But if VR was such a home run dunk, everyone would be involved in it. And the fact of the matter is that Sony is doing the best with it. But show me a game that's in the top 10 in MPD or even top 20. I'll give you that much. Show me.
Resident Evil 7 is probably still the best example of a game with VR. Like one of the best examples of this is a AAA game that we've managed to fit you inside of through this thing and augment your experience. And it actually went over pretty well, besides the graphical hit on it through the headset. So, we can kind of leave it at that. Valerian has a good question here. He says, what's your take on People Can Fly's new IP, their next-gen game releasing for the Series X and PS5 this year? What is that game called? I was just looking at it. It's published by Square Enix. It looks pretty good from what we've seen.
The Outriders.
The Outriders. That game has been confirmed for Series X, and apparently this year. Will that get delayed? We don't know, but anybody kind of looking at this, Colt? Did you? We remember the trailer.
Yeah, it's it reminded me of Anthem in style. Did you notice that? Did you get a chance to look at it, Dealer?
I saw it, but I didn't really.
It kind of has like an Anthem. I know it's not like an Anthem game, but it kind of has like that time period, that look to it. I don't know if it's a first-person shooter or a third-person shooter. It looks cool. People Can Fly is really awesome. They made Bulletstorm. Dealer didn't love Bulletstorm, but he just finished it like a few weeks ago.
Gears Judgment also, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I liked Gears Judgment, but People Can Fly, they're a Polish studio. They're really talented. They can make some cool looking stuff. They're pretty creative, so I'm hoping this is like a really fun, hard-hitting game, but that trailer is really cool.
Wilmy says that Half-Life could move some VR units. Yeah, if that got announced for like PSVR, which it probably will at some point, that could be something that, depending on how good the game is, of course. Yeah, that can move some stuff. You're right. Good point. We've also got Expert Lizard. He says, I just wanted to say I appreciate you all always giving me something to look forward to every Tuesday. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, sir. Do appreciate it, man. We've been doing this for almost 3 years now, Colt. 3 years now. So I think we've
this summer it'll be 3, I think.
Yeah, we've come a ways, come quite a ways. Some, we haven't been doing it like, shout out to like Gamertag Radio and all those guys have been doing it since like 2005. We've been doing it for about 3 years, and we've come quite a ways in there. And some of this information is actually from that Gamertag Radio interview. So shout out to those guys. I forgot to mention that as well. Dealer, why do you skip my super chats? I have not seen your super chats, sir. Keep in mind that every time I scroll on this chat, it shoots me to the bottom, and then some of them disappear on our timer, buddy. So I've said it before. I can't really fix that. Just tell me you made one, and then I'll just read what you said. You know what I'm saying? So thanks. It's, of course, never intentional.
By the way, the Outriders, it kind of like reminds me of a little bit of Destiny. Like there was always 3 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's, and then in the game, and that they were showing it, it looks cool. I think it's third person. There was like a little bit of hint of gameplay in it, and you can see like third person view. Yeah, I mean it looks cool. I don't know, we'll see. And that was a studio that was when everybody was like, oh, Xbox is in Poland or whatever. That was one of the studios that people are like, maybe this studio, because they've worked together and they have a relationship, blah blah blah. They were like, maybe that's a studio that they can work together or buy or something. So they've been, their name has been floating around for a little while now.
Yeah, and who, we'll see.
This game, though, it was slated to come out for this generation, right? So is this now a cross-gen title? Or
it's a cross-gen title, I do believe, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's going to be out on the Xbox One, PS4, and the new consoles.
So it's gonna look like trash. Just keep that in mind. Clutch Man, he says, how many of us just watch Netflix on our TVs? Yeah, that's a good point. Again, I don't really. I just like to use that kind of logic to crush some of the logic of people that are, of course, against these services for some reason. As long as they're not taking everything over, which they are not, it's an option. No. Oh, here's the super chat. Johnny Lasagna. He says, at dealer, go where your games are. I have 500 plus on my VCR. What? Hang on.
My original Xbox, yeah.
Oh, okay. My VCR, but whatever. All games will be on mobile and PC. Can't wait to trade them in from VCR for a fridge.
That's awesome.
Okay, yeah, thanks, man. Right.
Fridge holds food.
But either way, let's go ahead and move on to this next section of this here. So the VR thing is, Phil touched on that, and that's not very interesting. Next generation getting delayed. Unfortunately, that's probably not going to happen. A lot of people, I noticed a lot of articles running with this. There's a virus out there, guys, and if you haven't looked into it, please kind of be safe and look into it. We wish everyone the best with it, because it is a thing that's, I think there's a cruise ship right now that's kind of, it's got like 100-something infected people on it. They can't leave it. There's a lot. It's called the coronavirus, and it's kind of a thing. So if you're in a populated area, especially, be careful. But people are saying that this could have an effect on next generation technology, because it's the first thing they think. Well, the virus killing everyone. Fuck. What about my console? So there's articles out there that are talking about how this could delay the console and all that stuff. What is their logic there? Anybody kind of looking at these articles?
Yeah, I actually I did a video on it, and
fraud.
I looked into it really deeply, and it could affect the console's release. There's no doubt about that. These consoles, first of all, AMD's chips are made in Taiwan, which is off the coast of China, and Taiwan has very few cases. So they're okay in Taiwan. Foxconn is also in Taiwan. And it makes a lot of motherboards. It makes the consoles. I believe it makes the Switch. It makes the PlayStation. Microsoft makes some of their Xboxes in Brazil. They make some of their Xboxes in Mexico. But some of the components for these consoles, they come directly from China. So these consoles aren't getting assembled without certain parts that come from China. A lot of factories are being shut down as they quarantine workers. Some of them are going back to work. Some of them aren't going back to work. Foxconn right now is under a quarantine. Switch has announced to its customers that there's going to be delays on shipments. Apple has announced that there's going to be delays on shipments. And if they don't get this coronavirus more under control, and at least have a cure for some of these people that are affected by this. And by the way, my heart and prayers go out to anyone that's affected by this virus. But anyways, it's a real thing. It could definitely affect the or at least delay the consoles. Let's say at the very least they get some of these consoles out, there would be some supply constraints for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and I think part of that was it the Outer Worlds had mentioned something about being delayed because of something. Was that them? Was that the Switch version was delayed because of that?
They actually delayed it from the coronavirus. They said that the studios over there, they can't work right now, and that they're going to delay it until next year. Or I don't think they gave an actual date when they're going to delay it to, but they said it's delayed because of the coronavirus. They actually officially said that.
So they actually cited that virus as the issue, which is, yeah, I mean, it could be, who knows, maybe it could be a factor. One thing to keep in mind is that they don't start production on these systems until like August or something like that. I think
they would probably start ramping it up in August. But if I don't want to get so deep and dark because it's not really the show to do it. But just indulge me for a couple of minutes. This morning, a whistleblower actually.
Oh man, here comes the whistleblowing.
A whistleblower. Well, I you know what? The Chinese government, and
come on, D. Don't get us all assassinated.
They're not telling the whole story. Let's just be honest.
All right, so leave it at that. We don't go into this shit on here. All right, this is a gaming podcast, not a Chinese government not telling no story podcast. Ben Johnson, D-Batch over here, Whistleblower Jr. Ben Johnson over here. Ubisoft announced / leaked their 2020 games, but didn't mention Skull and Bone. He said Skill and Bone. Where is Skull and Bone, Colt? Did they see Sea of Thieves and I don't know.
Wait, hold on, is that the Sea of Thieves killer?
I actually used that trailer in my last video, and I haven't really looked at it closely. They have the same singers from Black Flag on the ship, same guy singing.
It looked like Black Flag, just the boat mode.
It's just the boat. It's like For Honor, boat mode. I don't know where that game is. I think it's one of those that they're pushing to the end of this year or maybe early.
I think it's going to get delayed.
2021. I think it will too. Because Ubisoft said they're going to have 5 games in the works: Assassin's Creed Ragnarok, Far Cry 6, and then what are the other 3? Zocker, you probably read up
Gods
on
and Monsters, right? Or
Gods and Monsters. What do you call the Watch Dogs, right?
Rainbow Six.
Yeah, Watch Dogs. Yeah, and Rainbow
Six
Quarantine or something like that. Yeah.
But be honest, is anybody really looking forward to another pirate game?
Not right now.
No.
Especially after Atlas looked, but we knew it was Studio Wild Card. We're like, nope, that won't look like that. Misadvertising. Sea of Thieves didn't hit all the nails in the head.
I love those people that kept saying, like, when they saw Atlas, they're like, lol, Sea of Thieves is dead. And I'm like, well, okay.
They log on, the servers are dead.
It looked nothing like what they showed at all. Not 1% it looked like that, man.
Nope. And that Skull and Bones, apparently, I don't know, from what I was hearing, that you couldn't get off the ship. It was just the ship. That's all you can do, right? And apparently that just didn't sit well with a lot of people. Like, a lot of people were like, well, can't I go to an island or something? And yeah, so I don't know what's happening with that game. So
Bonzarelli, let me ask you a question. Zvitterman in the super chat says there is obviously a subscription model for games and movies and all this other stuff. In Game Pass, it's inevitable. It was obvious. Why do some gamers push back on a service like Game Pass despite its pro-consumer kind of, you get a good deal? Go rent a game for the same amount, but just 1 or 2 games for a week, or get 200 of them for the same price for a month.
Ooh, one word: Xbox.
So is that why we never hear them talk about PS Now, even though PS Now is the same price or cheaper if you get it for a year and it has more games to download in it, and they never mentioned PS Now?
Yeah, but if PlayStation Now was indeed just like Game Pass and they did day and date and everything, nobody would be complaining about it. They'd call PlayStation the saviors of gaming at that point.
Of course,
so,
yeah.
The saviors of gaming, huh?
Consumer, now I actually see people championing themselves paying full price for a game. I mean,
they do.
I mean, they can do that. That's fine. Like, we like to buy our games outright as well. But
yeah, but then they put down the same.
Not me.
People who buy, like, everyone has a disposable income and can buy every game.
So they just try to spin it as I'm the only one supporting the game. The rest of you, even though they're just the only ones who don't actually know how the deals work, and they don't think the developer's actually getting paid because they're idiots. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, dealer. I'm a cheapskate. Okay, so any game I can get for free in Game Pass, hey, bring it to me. I'll play.
Yeah, I mean,
I buy a lot of games, but Game Pass is great for the fact that it can add to my collection. and it gives me leeway with a lot of games. I don't have to buy a game at launch. If
It
who
lets you
knows, maybe
discover games, right?
Yeah, exactly. But also, like, if I need time to buy a game, it gives you that. Like, it's a great thing. I think the people that try to downplay it are just simply
For
jealous
Hmm.
or
for me
console war.
Sorry, Tim. For me personally, I'm gonna buy most of Microsoft's exclusive games anyways, just because I am. So for me, it makes perfect sense to get Game Pass. I'm saving money for games that I would get anyways. So I don't know. I don't understand how gamers can complain on a win-win situation. This is, if you play games and you're invested into the ecosystem, this is more than a great deal, because you get other games that aren't just Microsoft games. You get other third-party games, and they're starting to come in there quite frequently, and not that far from release. Not like 2-3 years later.
Yep.
Well, and let me give a shout out real quick to Ermi, Obi-Wan, of course, Lethal Pomp, and the moderators, BDP 2007, LD Ace, J Mo. We got you in the chat, Underachiever. We've also got Josh Latner. Yeah, Josh Latner, Nighthawk, and Big Daddy. We've also got The Haven. Thank you guys so much. Just wanted to read Valerian, all you guys. Just want to read a few names off. I wish I could keep up a little bit better, but I can't. And of course, over 1,200 people still watching us live, guys. If you haven't hit that like button, share us out a little bit, help us out some. We do appreciate it. There was apparently some kind of email sent out by GameStop. What's left of GameStop? This might have been a good week to have Forte on, because he manages one of those. But they sent this out apparently, and there was some information about the PS5 on there. Didn't you guys see this?
No. Oh, about the pre-orders? That one?
It says full 8K TV support. It says
Here we go.
I mean, of course, they will scale up, and they will HDMI 2.1. It will support 8K.
All TVs will support any console. So
this is just their marketing. I don't know whose marketing it is. It's probably from Sony. Just bespoke 8-core AMD graphics processor, 3D audio. You've also got, let me zoom this out. So they're hyping up and notice that too, because we've been saying this since the beginning. Mark Cerny said he didn't mention the hardware accelerated ray tracing before because it slipped his mind. I don't buy that. I think there's a reason. No. I don't think it's going to be full on as good a ray tracing. From what we've been told, it is not as good a ray tracing as Series X. And there's a reason they mentioned 3D audio here before anything, and there's a reason Cerny talked about it before anything, because that's what they're going to do a lot of, probably.
It slipped his mind.
But again, we've had Atmos on Xbox for years, and nobody gave a fuck. Nobody said anything about that for gaming on Atmos, and Xbox had that for years, and PS4 Pro still doesn't do Atmos for gaming and headsets, I don't believe. So, nope. I mean, either way. It also says built for purpose SSD storage, whatever that means. It also says backwards compatibility with PS4. It also says game/PSVR hardware, and of course, ray tracing capabilities. Now, I think there's a reason that's at the bottom. I think there's a reason they word it that way. And again, take this with a grain of salt, but from what I've been told by some random people on Twitter, apparently, this is something they got as an email. And I mean, what are you kind of getting from this, D-Batch, from this email that, what are you thinking about that?
Well, first off, I'm going to want to take Sony at face value that they do have hardware ray tracing.
Oh, they do. I'm not saying they don't. I just think it'll be not as good.
I don't want the Sony Defense Force coming after me, okay? So let's just put that out there.
No, I mean, if they got from what I said that I don't think they have hardware accelerated ray tracing, then that's on them. They're stupid, not me.
That's what they wanted to hear. Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be the same level of ray tracing. For one, they're looking at a lower price. A lower price usually says lesser hardware.
How's that at 18 teraflops? How can it possibly be a lower price? 27 teraflops last week.
Also, too, and I've said this so many times, and the Defense Force just gets on me for this, but Microsoft is a software company. They're working hand in hand with AMD on the API for DX12, DXR. They're working hand in hand with them. So they're going to get the most out of that hardware from their software. And I'm sorry, there's just no getting around that. And from what we're hearing behind the scenes, the Xbox Series X is more capable of ray tracing. It's got a better GPU and it's got more ray tracing cores. That's what we've heard. We'll have to see if that holds to be true. But nonetheless, with the API work they do alone, I see them having advantage. DXR has already been out on the PC. NVIDIA uses this for their ray tracing. Intel, when they release their GPUs, is going to be using this for their ray tracing. AMD is going to be using this for their ray tracing. So you better believe your bottom dollar that the Xbox Series X is going to be highly optimized.
You know what's annoying, D-Batch, besides me interrupting you? Is when somebody tells us that we don't know anything about the PS5 because Sony hasn't said anything. Yes, we fucking do, all right? For one, their Japanese website is officially confirmed 16 threads, apparently. There's things that maybe you guys or some of you who don't know that we do know. We do this like a lot. So if we say that or suggest it, like if we're saying they've said something or they're saying that, unless we give it, say, grain of salt, like, yeah, they probably have said a few things.
The GitHub leaks of the testing is very short.
Not only that, but if you've missed some things, like on this show, we've kind of been ahead of the curve on a lot of shit, right? So like the 12 teraflops thing on YouTube, you know, RDX was definitely the first show talking about that and basically saying, yes, from what we're hearing, it's confirmed. I had the first video in the world on that on December 9th at 9 in the morning. Windows Central released an article 2 hours later saying the same thing, exactly the same thing. So again, we know a fucking thing or two. It's not like we only bring it up because motherfuckers don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So again, trust us. Sony have definitely said some of these things. They aren't giving as much information as we'd like. There is a lot of fake information out there. We do agree, so we can't really fault you a lot. There's a lot of people out there said they were going to have a reveal in February and early Feb, and that's what this tweet's about and all this bullshit. They got a fat pipe, you know. So again, there's a lot of bullshit out there, guys. Like there's a lot of people think PS5 is going to be $500.
Those same people that criticize us go along with certain things like, these Xbox is going to have a 3 times slower SSD. Just because another guy says it, you guys are all over that and are loving that. But when RDX says something, it's like, oh no, it's not true.
Well, keep in mind that's just like a lot of the Sony radicals too, though. Like,
yeah, that Foxy UK weirdo, that guy lies.
Well, I don't know if he's a Sony radical.
No, he's a Sony radical. I will tell him, and I'll tell him straight on Twitter or whatever. The stuff that he's saying is actual bullshit.
Well, maybe he's being lied to, and he just doesn't know it.
I'm actually calling it out because I'm not going to afraid what he's writing and all that stuff. The same guys that are okay with that are the ones questioning RDX and questioning all things that we say or try to get us in a gotcha moment, but they're okay with SSD magical 8 times faster. I know you don't know shit.
I don't know. Did he say 8 times? Did he say 8 times faster?
I don't know. He has some stupid shit.
But what's so funny to me though is that like Phil has come out and like hinted hard on what the specs are. How it's twice the GPU of the Xbox One X. Just do the fucking math. Over 8 times powerful as the Xbox One S. Just do the fucking math. This 12 teraflop story, dealer reported on it first. Then we got Windows Central. Then we got WCCF.
We had known about it 3 days prior,
and Tim knew about it. Tim knew about it before there was any articles. I mean, there's a lot to the story.
We went the right way. Like we went and we okayed it with Jez, and we did a lot of things. We actually have contacts. I don't care what anybody says. We actually have contacts.
Well, we know some people. Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, Tim, but you've never said bullets can travel farther in a game. So I don't want to hear your shit.
All right,
but
come on.
The bottom line is that the same guys who gonna say that this guy, whoever that's on it, Fox UK, because that's one guy I've seen make up stuff and actually have nothing behind it, and it's like it's okay to do that, but like if we say anything and it's marginally off, it's all over the net. It's just a double.
I think you're looking at sites like Reset Era with like 1,000 people on it and bullshit no one cares about. Like in the grand scheme of things, like I think
you didn't even anybody that you actually known. You had a show on Twitter that you actually knew about the 12. You were actually the first.
Yeah, there's nobody here questioning that because they actually watched the video.
Yeah, but they were on Twitter.
I mean, that's because they don't know. Like they just found out who the fuck we are.
But do we ever get credit? No,
not from those people. But that's okay.
But the bottom line is that when you hear stuff from here and it's on a technical point, it's usually backed up.
I mean, think about it, Tim. I mean, are they really gonna look at
stuff up?
Are they really gonna look at a show like this, right? And we've already had like Yabar on. We've had some other people that are kind of, they got they're well-known kind of people that have leaked things like Scarlett. We've had David Preen on a few weeks ago, the lead hardware guy for Series X. And then we're going to look at a show like this and with all the guests that we've announced and stuff like that and say, well, no, they can't possibly know anything. And they definitely don't know what they're talking about. So, that's just for the misinformed. You always have that. That's fine. Like that's everywhere. That's anyone, anything.
I just love the double standard. A guy like that, Foxy UK fraud.
And no more name dropping, Tim Dog.
I want him to listen to it so he knows he's a total fraud and he's making it up. Fonz, you be a man. Man up. Is he
Damn.
Hey, Woomy Hood says RDX crew knows people. Know what I'm saying?
The bottom line is that guy's making up shit. Just
that's fine. But the thing is, though, when things come out, though, Tim, you don't just let.
If we made up stuff like that, we'd be fucking vilified, and you know it.
But also, we're not on the Sony side. Like all of that's the thing, though. Like if you got a podcast on the Sony side, it should be twice as big as any Xbox podcast, or stuff like that. Like we were on the Sony side. Things would be, but we prefer Xbox, so we're not.
Check your DM.
Hey, can I say this real quick?
Check your DMs.
All the Sony leaks and all the Sony insiders, they're not even in agreement with each other. You hear one guy saying, "Oh, it's 10," one guy saying it's 14, one guy saying it's 18, another guy saying it's the same as Xbox Series X at 12.
Shut up.
13.2.
And the one thing that's been concurrent with all of the Xbox Series X leaks is the 12 teraflops.
Hey, Sovereign, I can't read that, buddy.
But that's the truth. There's no teetering. There's been this leak, that leak, this leak, and everything's been the same with Xbox. It's been 12
oh my God, AJ Harris, love it. I coined that, by the way. So it is what it is. I just figured half of those people that you mentioned, and this is why I don't really bother, because they already took the L in the February event. Right? They've already taken the L on half of the shit they've ever said. They're going to take a massive L in the power. They're going to take an L in the price.
Yeah,
and two, if you're talking about PS5, I'll at least have an idea what you're talking about, like tech-wise. So that again, we just I'm going to let the L's reign, and maybe we're off on a thing or two. We don't know. We just know the targets that 100% confirmed by people that would know, trust us, the targets.
Xbox is ready to release the targets. Xbox are ready to release their specs, okay? They're in a position where they're just waiting, and Sony's waiting for them to go first, because at this point they know they're
scared.
They know that they won't even show their freaking console. You know why? Because the form factor is going to tell it all.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah, Danny says PS5 will have all the power and the games.
Give us a yell, Tim.
Look at the size of it.
No yell. Jesus Christ. Tim's already ramped up enough.
It annoys me, and it just annoys me that just people can just make up random shit, and it's okay. But like, we never do that. If we did that, we'd be vilified. We'd be made jokes of.
I agree with you, Tim. The form factor of the PlayStation 5 is going to reveal everything about that system.
Tim, I hate to break it to you, but we are vilified regardless.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because we're filthy Xbox.
Again, I think all you guys are just paying attention to the wrong people. The like ratios, the amount of people that tune in, and the positivity don't lie. So it is what it is.
Yeah, that's true.
Twitter, a couple other people on Twitter that they were outspoken and stuff. Of course, wrong plastic. I've had half of them beg me to be on PS Sony side. So who gives a shit?
Tim Dog wants more than the smoke he's making. He's rubbing two sticks together right now. He's Castaway
I'm
shit.
I'm scared that the guy that makes up shit.
I got a comment on my video today that basically was almost from some really mad Sony guy that was basically begging Dealer and I to cover PlayStation in the way he insulted us. He's like, these guys crank up their production up to level 10 and then
Charlie Paul, Dealer yelled from the rooftops about power. Well, for one, I've always said it, power is important, but back then when we didn't have the power, I was also asking for the damn games. That's the difference between me and a lot of people back then, where they like to say I didn't care about the power then. I wanted the power, but 300,000 pixels is nothing compared to the 4 million we're already at between the Pro and the X. And I wasn't not asking for games then. So now I'm asking for games, been doing it for years, and I want the power too.
And another fake fucking insider, Tidx. That fuck.
Oh my God, Tim's had a little
drink. That guy, throw him in the trash can.
What's it? Tidx.
Tidx.
Oh, Tide. I think I've heard him called Tide Pod before.
I wanted to call out the right
Tide Pod. I don't know if you guys
I don't know, man. I don't know these people.
Black bullshit.
Tim's
know,
on this
all
dying
these
website
guys.
called Reset Era. It's like it's one of those.
No,
it's like a little
Tidix
building.
is-
They're
even
on.
Reset Era says Tidix is a fraud. Maybe. He's the guy that
Wait.
said 21%.
Didn't that
And
the guy?
everyone-
Hang on. He
everyone-
said that Death Stranding wouldn't come to PC, right?
Yes, he
Okay.
said that. Never know, never now.
I just know
he
that
s-
people.
he
I've
said
heard people make fun of him before,
21%.
but I didn't know why. I don't know the guy, so it is what it is.
Fucking
I don't really
bullshit
care.
and
We're
making
going
up
down
shit.
the dark tunnel here. Okay, we do this shit all day. So
I'm scared.
Adam in the super chat says, if any Sony fan in here should listen to Colin Moriarty. He's the only legit Sony press. He's basically the only legitimate
decent.
source to follow. But I'm not going to discount people out. There probably might be some people outside the media. That's the thing with a lot of media people. You're either cool enough to be in their circle or do things with them, or you're not. And for some reason, it seems
What
like
kind of things?
25,000 followers on Twitter gets like 20 likes on a post. I'm like, I don't know about this shit. It kind of seems sketch to me. So I don't really. I'm not saying there's not people out there who don't know things, but if we're getting information from such a good damn source that's directly in Xbox and stuff like that, and they're saying the things that are opposite of the people in Reset Era, and Sony themselves are talking about needing to get installed the PS5 out there faster than ever, the best adoption rate they've ever had. That's not a $500 system. Mark Cerny saying the price will be very appealing to gamers. It's not a $500 system, never been. We're using common sense combined with what we know from Xbox sources to tell you that the PS5 should not be more powerful. So it is what it is.
If the PS5 is priced at $399, I'm going to say it's a comparable system. I'm expecting the PS5, truthfully, to land anywhere between 9 and teraflops, 10 teraflops. Some people have said even 8.5. I'm going to just go a little bit higher and say between 9 and 10, and that would come into line with a $399 price point from what we know what's going to be in these
And
systems.
that IGN editor in Japan just talked about that, how they basically they know pricing information or how much stuff's going to cost over there much sooner. I mean, like I said, Sony's based over there. Their Japanese site has confirmed things that people still don't know about over here. And they're saying that performance will be drastically higher than the PS5 on the Series X. And since I said, hey, this is what I heard, this is exactly what I heard, and I actually quote that guy, people think, oh, you're using a guy from IGN, and then they go to Reset Era and find fuckface42. Well, he said that it's 19 teraflops. So
Is that a real name?
probably. Shout out to you, fuckface42. So again, we're just here for the fun and the community, but it's got some bullshit.
I want to say something real quick about Reset Era because I do go on there sometimes. There's some level-headed people there. I don't want to group everybody in the same fucking shit. But there's some extreme fanboys there as well, man. And they're to the extreme.
There's been a ton of people defend us and defend me there, but then they get banned. So it's like, okay, they must have like a. They're not saying anything crazy or attacking anybody. They're just speaking up.
Dealer, on a technical standpoint, are all third-party games going to be held back because they're on PS5?
On a technical standpoint, yeah, by their own logic, and this is what I've been trying to tell them. And they forget to mention that all this stuff's going to PC anyway, so you're all held back by the lowest entry, the lowest specs you can play it on PC. So a lot of these guys don't really take the time to think about that, man. They don't.
If anything, the older consoles, the original Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, if anything, that kind of held gaming back a little bit. Now, the next decade that we're going into, the Xbox Series X, the PlayStation 5 will increase the power target, and PC games are going to look better, and console games are going to look better. We're going to see. I think we're going to see a graphical leap this generation, honestly.
I think we're going to be held back by the Nokia 3310. That's what I think we're going to be held back by.
Well, what did this guy say? The people on IGN Unlocked feel suspiciously like Sony fans doing an Xbox podcast. I don't know. Oh, you're talking about the IGN guys. I don't believe that, man. I just think a lot of them, they're not really Xbox guys when it comes down to it. They don't really have a lockdown panel of people that, we have some guys that aren't really dedicated to Xbox in here either, but they're not the majority. That's for like perspective and stuff like that, and a little bit of a different perspective on some things. But I don't have anything to say about those guys at IGN. Really, I mean, I wish them all the best. We do have to. I mean, one thing I wanted to kind of finish off with, and all the drama shit. Apologize again. Wasn't supposed to go that way.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You had a little bit. You had a little bit too much to drink today.
No, in
Hey, I want to read this quote real quick.
That's my personal opinion.
I got you.
You didn't say anything.
It was one.
I mean, it's not like you're wrong in a lot of this.
To echo anything, it's just the fact that I just feel like there's a lot of bullshit that goes on, and you know, there's a magnifying glass on us, and really, you know.
There's a magnifying glass on us because, of course, Tim, we're like one of the biggest Xbox podcasts in the world already in 3 years.
I guess so. I guess I should just take it. But believe me, we're not making up shit and just having no sources.
Tim sounds like one of those people that tweeted something that he shouldn't have, you know? Tim, like in a big company, and he's getting slapped on the wrist. He's like, my views do not coincide with my.
No, Tim. I know what Tim's saying. Tim's a great guy. He just, he gets frustrated because
it's not that dealer. It's Wine 30 where he lives, so it's fine.
Wine 30. No, he just, he's in tune with what people on Gaff and Era say, and I'm like, I don't care.
Listen, they know. Listen, even Rissett, I'll give them credit. They know guys like Tidux and the other guy Fox to UK. They're full of shit. They'll say that too.
They'll call them out.
They'll say that those guys aren't used as sources. They're not taken seriously. It's just funny that I just find like the same people that are questioning us are like the same guys that are retweeting and loving, some fake bullshit made up.
That's because we don't suit their narrative, though. They don't want our narrative to be true. You know what I'm saying? So don't take it personal, okay? A lot of people they're not informed on what's been said here and on this channel and other channels, and they don't really know all that well, and we've never had, any hit pieces written on us or anything like that. We've been articles written because we've leaked things. So, I mean, it's not like a personal thing. Just know that either it's not their narrative or they don't know or they're not informed, and that's fine.
Just know that we're coming from when we say something, or at least when I say something, I'll speak for myself. It's coming from an informed view. It's that's all I can tell you. I'm never making up something. Just I'll say this. To be stronger.
I'll say this in defense of Tim, Dealer, everybody here that believes in the Xbox Series X, the 12 teraflops. When the specifications are finally made public, man, that's gonna be a great feeling that day.
And again, that's the target. So I have to keep reminding everyone that's the target of the Series X is 12. Hopefully they've hit it. And I've said that from day one. People don't. I don't know, man. Like the video's there. Like go watch it. Like people are like, well, that was a leak from January. It's like, for one, that leak wasn't correct. We've already checked that in with the same person. The power stuff is what we're saying 100%. That's the target. And we've got a bunch of other stuff in that video. So if you haven't checked it out, like watch it. But also regarding the quote with Phil Spencer, he had something else that I thought was we didn't mention, and I wanted to get this out there. He said that he didn't want to compete with Sony at the same level because this is basically why he said it. He says, I don't want to be in a fight over formats in a format war with Sony, while Amazon and Google are basically focusing on figuring out how to get the 7 billion people in the globe to be gamers, saying this is all alludes to their capability in the cloud, basically. So he's basically saying there's bigger stuff out there. There's a bigger thing we have to focus on, and we're doing it all, but really we're not going to waste time focusing on just Sony. We found our own way, and Sony are following suit.
Geez, Dealer, now that you explained that, the context makes sense now, doesn't it?
It's almost weird, like the article is written there for a reason, and people just read the headline. It's kind of odd.
Well, the funny development with that was when he said the thing where we have to watch out for Google and Amazon. Everyone's like, well, Stadia's dead and Amazon's a no-show. Well, today Amazon tweeted that they're ready to start revealing their plans for gaming. So, like, the funny thing is when I say console fanboys, like, that they're stuck with the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, like that whole mindset. They're not the ones who are looking at the global market like somebody like Phil Spencer and his team. Like, it's their job to look at the global market. It's not 13.2 teraflop 8K PS5 at 32, that guy. It's not his job to know what's going on globally. They don't know. They see from their tiny little pinhole vision that Amazon hasn't done jack crap for gaming, but Amazon is about to release what they are going to do very soon.
They're the only question mark left on the board. Like, what's their approach?
Yeah, but like people like Jim Ryan and Phil Spencer and all of their teams around them, they're keyed in on that. And we're not keyed in on that because that doesn't exist in our world as consumers and customers. So you can't look at things that way. And that's why Phil said, look, we got to watch out for these big guns. And we can't go around chasing console sales with Sony. It's not going to do anybody any good.
And Sony they're not worried about, they're doing the same thing. So they just figured out that what Microsoft are doing is the smartest overall approach. Kirk Russell, he says, I'm going to keep saying it, can we talk about the Series X being more powerful than the PS5 dev kit? We've explained this over and over. And again, it gets old.
9 months.
Dev kit does not have double the power, triple the power, like fucking 30% more. A dev kit is on average half a teraflop or less more powerful on the GPU side than the retail unit. Xbox One X dev kit, 6.4 T-flops, retail 6.0. The big difference is in RAM. Usually the RAM is about doubled. We don't know how that's going to work going forward now that they're using the SSD's virtual memory on the Series X, all that stuff. We don't even know about the Series X dev kit. We just know about the power target on the GPU. Well, the PS5 dev kit stuff, they've had placeholder stuff out there before the official dev kits released that we're all using GCN. A lot of these guys are quoting GCN power targets, and they're saying exactly in GCN what they think is Navi. A lot of them. So again, it all comes out to around 9.5.
Summer around E3 when this first came out that the PS5 dev kit was more powerful than the Xbox. Microsoft hadn't even sent out the actual dev kit. They just gave them specs to run on their own PC builds to target.
Yep.
Like they gave them a printout and said, look, this is your target right now. And some, can I say the word moron? I usually don't like used insults, but some moron insiders told
#BeNice.
Some moron said, hey, I'm sitting here with the PS5 dev kit and I'm looking at this spec sheet that Microsoft told me to use. And, well, man, it looks like this PS5 is more powerful.
And we heard the same thing about the Pro and the X, and it's not even close to true.
There's a lot of morons out there saying that they were debriefed on it, too. They're just fucking idiots out there that don't know what the fuck
they were actually briefed and not debriefed.
Yeah, they're just, and then everybody during E3, I've heard that a bunch of people have the specs or the dev kits, and it's like, then Phil comes out, nobody has them, and we're just putting them out now, and that was like in November.
And again, Microsoft know what Sony has, Sony know what Microsoft had. That also plays into why we're saying the Series X is more powerful, because we've talked to people now.
I'll quit RDX and I'll quit Twitter. In fact, if Xbox is less powerful than PS5, I will take the biggest L. Quit RDX. You can make a video of me. I will do a Logan video where I'm crying into a camera saying that Xbox.
He's gonna change his name to the L Man.
That's how confident I am. Okay?
Can you at least do like a downward camera angle so we can see it for nostrils?
That's what I.
Well, hasn't the PlayStation only been more powerful once, and that was at the beginning of the
because the
PS4 era?
SSD drive you loads a half a second.
No, SSD has nothing to do with actual system power.
Overall power specs. If Xbox is not as powerful, if it's less powerful than PS5, I will quit Twitter and I will take it out.
I want to say that though, Tim, because we got to be very specific on that SSD. People think that an SSD adds an actual like power, like it adds 0.4 of a teraflop. No, SSD will make your games load faster, and now with the virtual RAM, that you can actually have visual benefits as well if you use that virtual memory for textures or whatever else. But it does not increase compute performance.
But in the load time, like say, for argument's sake, let's say the Xbox Series X has a slower hard drive. It would really be like a difference of like 3 seconds in loading.
Everybody knows, though, that SSDs, regular SSDs anyway, are slow as molasses, man.
Hey, when did SSDs become slow, Fonz?
Dude, they've always been slow.
Oh man,
ever since
I've heard that since that article based on that article based on Mike Ibarra's comment in this podcast. They're all taking that and saying Sony has stuff faster than any PC. Mike Ibarra, I mean, they're taking that from his comment in our show and basing all of the articles based on all that. It all leads back to this show. That's the funny thing. I did a video on that.
And the source where that all comes from.
Oh, geez. You know what? We got to give a shout out to over 1,200 people watching Tim Dog, and we want to thank them for watching us and having fun with us, and hopefully none of them took any of the bullshit too seriously. You know, it's just again, you get tired of seeing the bullshit, and we're just going to let time hand out the L's.
I'll speak for myself. Like I said, that's all on me. And like I said, I'm ready. I'll put it all out there. If Xbox is less powerful, I'll take the biggest L known to Twitter.
I mean, I just don't see it happening based off of everything we know. But
I'm pretty sure. Listen, it's either that or I've been lied to. So I mean, basically, it's to that point.
Those people wouldn't lie to you, though. We know that. So again, you're good. You'll be fine. And even if they couldn't hit the power targets, which was the reason that box is so big, then hey, that would be unfortunate. But they still plan on being the best for that price range, $500. So again,
I'll say
D-Batch, finish up your thought, and then we're gonna say some outros. And again, thanks to everyone checking us out. Hit that like button if you haven't. Share it out. Help us out a little bit. You guys are awesome. Sorry for all the drama tonight, but that's not really the usual. Go ahead,
from my recollection, any time that Microsoft has set a target, they've not only met that target, they've exceeded it when it comes to their consoles. So there's that.
It certainly did with the X, and people thought that was going to be a $600 console. We didn't know. Then they switched it to, we didn't know it had Jag cores. Like, yeah, you did. You said on the GPU alone it would be 600 and you couldn't do it. So, and people just swap up their bullshit all the time. But again, that's the last of the drama. Colt Eastwood, and again, thanks for rocking out with us, guys. You guys are awesome. Best chat in the universe. We do have some guests lined up. And again, I told you guys I wouldn't really announce it until I had them 100% lined. But we've mentioned who they are in the past. Just know that that's still underway. Looking like Stillwell might be the first one. I'm not sure. He's looking into things now, and we'll get back with you guys on that. But again, thanks for rocking out with us. Whether you love or hate the show, the fact that you guys engage is awesome. So if you haven't, hit that like button. Let us know your thoughts when it renders. And Colt Eastwood, thanks for joining us for another show, bud. Where can people find you? What have you been playing?
A lot. I just picked back up Shadow of the Tomb Raider with that expansive stuff. I've got Metro Exodus expansions to do. What else have I been playing? A bunch of Forza 7, actually. I don't know. I've been playing a lot of stuff. I've been having a good time. Oh, Zombie Army 4 with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who cares what I'm playing? It's just video games. No, it's been really fun. You can find me at Colt Eastwood at Twitter and YouTube. Check out my debunked video. It's kind of it stings a little bit to see all those things on screen that these people just lie about. It's just interesting how people just automatically want to go to the total negative and expect the absolute worst on Xbox, and it's kind of funny.
Sorry, Sovereign, I can't bring it. I'm not going to talk about JTech. All right, sorry, not going to do it, buddy. It's just thank you though. Yeah, I get what you're trying to say. It's funny.
We've done everything. I've done everything.
Check your DMs. Again, something else David did confirm when he was on our show. Again, senior hardware director of the Series X, right? Motherfucker has the box at his house. He's working on it. He knows everything about it. Couldn't reveal shit. But he's going to come back on when they can say more. But he basically said, yeah, buy one copy of a game, meaning next gen, no matter, just like now, as we've talked about forever, you'll just, whatever box you're on, that's the version of the game you'll have, like with your S and your X now. And PC gaming. That's how it works, and that's how it's going to work. They can't charge you for the patches. We here at Microsoft have a mandate where developers are not allowed to charge you for patches. So I'm sure it's the same thing for the PS5. Just look forward to getting the box, and that patch will hit for things like Last of Us, Halo, whatever else comes out, and you'll be good to go. Hey, D-Batch, what have you been playing, bud? Where can people find you?
I got back into Ace Combat 7 on the PC at 4K. That game is damn well near photorealistic, man. I'm really having a blast with that game. You guys can find me on Twitter at D_batch, and of course on YouTube at DBatch. I'm gonna spell it out because some people don't know how to spell it. It's DEE, and the batch is BATCH.
Ooh. Thank you so much, sir. We've also got Bonzarelli at the Grounded Gamer. What have you been playing, man, and where can people find you?
Yeah, I've been playing through that Doom 2016, getting ready for the Doom Eternal. Yeah, having fun with that. Also went back a little bit and played some Rage 2 and had some fun with that, even though I've already beaten it. It's just a fun game, man. But yeah, you guys can find me at The Grounded Gamer here on YouTube and at Jay Fonzarelli on Twitter. And yes, I'm making videos every Monday, so come check me out. See some craziness going on in my videos and stuff. So yeah, other than that, I just want to say that my comments on the Halo trailer earlier, because I got a lot of hate for it in the chat. Guys, I'm excited for Halo Infinite. I really am.
You're allowed to have an opinion.
I'm just saying that the trailer itself within that ship, it didn't wow me. That's all. I think it looks great, looks fine. It just didn't wow me. But I'm sure the full game will. When we go up to go out to the open areas and stuff, it's going to really just wow everybody, I'm sure. So I'm looking forward to that.
Hey, anyway, King Scotto, by the way, he has all the answers and doesn't think we know anything about anything because he's certainly been watching all the videos and and keeping track of that. So, or
Yeah,
have
you
you?
guys definitely don't talk to anybody behind the scenes. You guys don't know anybody. I have never seen anything that convinced me.
You've
that
never
you
been
guys
in a
have-
party with us, and
Yeah, I've never
you know,
talked.
certain.
I've never talked to Phil Spencer
Yeah.
himself. You know, like it's never happened. Yeah, never.
All right, well, let's go ahead and give an outro to xCloud Tim Dog. He brought it tonight. What have you been playing, buddy? And where can people find you, man?
Just a shout out to Wilmy Hood. I can't say that because they've already brought so much heat, but I will say this.
I wouldn't call it heat, but yeah, usually we avoid those things.
Check your DMs.
Oh my god.
Anyway, I've been playing. We had the show on Sunday, and Jeremy Downer and the guys got together and we played a bit of World War Z. I have to say that game is pretty good. It's very hard though. We couldn't beat it on anything other than like 2 skulls, or I think it was 1 skull. We tried it with like 3 skulls. It was ridiculous, but really good game. And thank you everyone. Pardon my theatrics tonight. Just sometimes I get a little annoyed. That's the way I am. I will always wear my heart on my sleeve, and that's just the way I am. But thanks everyone. Leave a like. And,
it's not like you're wrong, Tim. It's just that usually we try to avoid the drama on them, because that's a lot of mistake a lot of the shows will make, is it drama. It's not why a lot of these people are here, and we use gaming to escape. We try to get away from the negativity and stuff. But I get what you're saying. You're not wrong at all. Don't think we're saying that, man. I get it.
I mean, we don't have 1,000 or more people here to listen to someone who talks to 20 people.
Yeah, there we go. And also too, in Tim's defense, like, if you go into some of these threads, like, holy shit, man, after 5 minutes you'd be pulling your hairs out at the stupid the stupid things that some people say, and also Dealer's right. Like, sometimes people don't even say anything. They say, oh, you know what, I don't agree with you. Xbox guy, ban him, and the guy's banned. Like, there's a lot of bullshit that happens on there, and it can get frustrating. And I'll be honest with you, I've read some of the comments, and sometimes they're saying some really fucking hateful stuff, man. So Tim, you have every right to feel the way that you feel, and yes, I know we don't usually deal with drama, but sometimes you just gotta say how it is, man.
Yeah. And again, it was Tim. You didn't do nothing wrong, man. Don't think I'm saying that. It's just you get why. But why? Whatever. Zalker, buddy, where have you been, and what have you been playing? We know that answer.
I've been playing Zombie Army 4 with a bunch of my buddies. Been playing it with Obi. I'm trying to play with Lethal Papa. I've been playing with you guys. It's been really fun. I've enjoyed the shit out of that game, actually. And I started playing actually Warcraft 3 Reforged. I've been playing the campaign through that. Fuck you, Blizzard. I hate you, but I love you. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Zalker87. You guys could go YouTube Zalker87, put videos out, as often as I can, 2 or 3 a week. And chat. You guys are fucking awesome, like always. Tim, you're not wrong. All right, everybody. Tim's not wrong. Like Dealer said.
No,
he's just gonna. I don't. If he has to change his name to LX Cloud, I don't know. I'm gonna laugh. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and Tim, you ain't going nowhere either way. You're allowed to be wrong. If anything, even if you're wrong on this, even if we're wrong on this, we're still wrong way less than a lot of these other people. So it didn't matter. It's
which is crazy. These guys are like wrong. They say something the next week, and then everyone's back on the bandwagon.
I mean, they were just pushing that Cyberpunk got delayed for the Xbox One, and then they came out and like, nope, I just needed more time. I don't know.
Their own Cory Barlog had to straighten them out.
Oh, man. Again, though, drama tonight. 1,000 people still here listening to outros. We do appreciate it, guys. You guys are the best. We are going to go ahead and head out of here. I've been playing... Well, this is Saints Row 4. Me and Colt doing some co-op in this stupid game. It's so ridiculous. I just got hit by a car. Been playing this Zombie Army. We've also been playing a little bit of Battlefield, trying to get through that Battlefield 5 campaign. I still haven't gotten through it because for some reason at the time, man, I just was disappointed it wasn't a traditional Battlefield like Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 3 type game. And I've also been playing Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, still going through those side missions. So it's still a pretty good game. If you guys haven't played it, it's pretty damn good. I recommend it. Don't underestimate it. Shinsaya, Jordan X Xbox. Yeah, I don't know what that's about. Anybody know what that Jordan logo on the Xbox thing is all about?
No.
Yeah.
There might be
Sneaker, it
some
sounds like it.
sneakers coming out.
Okay, so yeah, shoes.
Change the game.
Xbox got shoes.
Element Appeal, shout out to you, brother. Bad Seed, what's going on, man?
Michael Jordan body wash.
Oh, God. Bambi's going to headbutt it out of a vending machine. Not again. Ron Hale, what's going on, buddy? Philly Eagle also got, we've got Marcus in the chat. The Great One for Real, Others Inc. Thanks for racking out with us, buddy. We don't always agree, but we do appreciate the fact that you can respectfully disagree. King Kai, thanks for showing up, buddy. And of course, LD Ace, just a few that I see here at the bottom of the feed at the moment. We are going to get out of here. Let us know your thoughts again on all the subjects. Share it out. Let a friend know about the show. And we are out. Oh, C9 impressions real quick. Somebody asked me to do that in a message on Xbox. And by the way, if you message me on Xbox, I'm getting overwhelmed with messages everywhere. Keep in mind, I got Xbox, I've got Twitter, and those two alone, I can't keep up. So, and I check my approved messages filter, and that's where I saw a lot of stuff in there, like too many. So I'm just saying I can't keep up with the shit right now. It's getting really bad, and I'm not used to this. So I'm trying to get back to everyone, but if I don't take it personally, please. I'm one of those that leaves DMs open everywhere because I want to talk to everyone when I can, but it's just been a lot lately. So again, somebody did ask me about the C9, and I give my impressions on that. I did get the C9 OLED, absolutely fantastic, very similar image quality as expected to their other recent OLEDs like the B7, the B7, the B8, and the C8, and all that stuff. It's similar image quality, but it's got a lot of smarter technologies built in for like luminance control. If you're in an SDR game, it will not even do peak brightness to prevent you from over brightening the TV when you're not supposed to. I don't know if you've ever tried like Spyro Trilogy or even Uno. On the B7, I have those games light that screen up where you have to reduce the backlight like crazy. The C9 has a lot of the smarter technologies built in where it'll basically get rid of that problem, and you just tune the gamma for SDR and won't even uncap it for the HDR luminance, which is nice. But yeah, there's less adjustments you got to make, and it seems to be a little bit more smarter implementation in terms of the logo luminance, so you can turn that and make it to where static pixels dim faster and all that stuff. Again, I got it for the future-proofing aspect of the occasional game that might be 120 frames on the Series X, stuff like that, like Forza Motorsport 8. Don't be surprised if you see a 120 mode in that game, or even Doom when it gets announced and stuff for next gen. Don't be surprised if you see a higher frame rate mode for that, a lower resolution. Not saying that'll be 4K, but you get what I'm saying. I want that access. I want to be able to tell you guys what that's like, and now I've got the OLED with HDMI 2.1 in the panel that can support that. So great TV. OLED is phenomenal. Burn-in is a much overstressed thing. Some people do have it, not saying they don't. But for me personally, haven't had a problem with my B7 in 2 years, and now I got the C9, and that's got even more of those smarter software features built in. And I will say, if you get an OLED, just be sure to take a few extra precautions. It's like getting a Ferrari. You don't leave that bitch out in the snow or out in the fucking heat. You put it in the garage. You take care of it. If you don't want those kinds of rules, you want to get a QLED. The highest end QLED competes with OLED pretty handedly now and has a few features here and there, but OLED now has variable refresh rate, auto low latency, and a lot of the other stuff that the Samsungs had then. If you don't want the rules of the preventative measures, then get a Samsung. But me, myself, I prefer the look of OLED. So you want to put the dimmer on your Xbox to 2 minutes. So 2-minute screensaver. If you're not touching it, it'll dim the screen. And you want to get rid of the idle options. And idle options, you want to turn the idle options off so it doesn't display things when you are not at the box. So there's no bright thing popping out on the screen for however many hours and, working one side of the screen and not the other. That's just things that I've done to take precautions, not saying that I've not had any issues with them at all, but that's what I've done just in case,
I just want to add a little bit to it. On those TVs as well, you should definitely put the pixel shifter on right away. So
that's on by default, now.
Yeah, so it's shifting the image so that you don't have to worry about burning. The logo dimmer is a most definite on it, and basically
and put that
OLED,
on high. By the way, they don't explain that very well in the settings, but put that on high.
Put it on high. And OLED basically, if you're not watching CNN 24/7, you're not watching NBC with the logo on there 24/7, you're okay. You're not gonna get burning. And even if you're watching CNN and you put the logo dimmer on there, just take breaks every 2 to 3 hours. If you leave it on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, yes, you're going to get burn in with the CNN on it. And let's just be honest, that's not normal usage, man. OLED is the king. And man, what a beautiful image.
But until
quality
micro
is.
LED comes out, right? But yeah, until then, you know, if you're curious, looking at micro LED, if you're thinking about making a big purchase, look into micro LED. That'll be out in the next year or two, right? And not mini LED, micro LED. It's a different thing, and that'll actually have the best of both worlds. But until then, I'm on LG. I got a B7 in the bedroom, a C9 here in the living room. Both 65 inch. They're both great. Yeah, they're both amazing. But Samsung high-end QLED, they compete as well. The highest end QLED, that is, can compete with OLED, and it's a great TV as well. So 8K, not ready for 8K. I actually watched some comparisons where, because OLED doesn't have the backlight, you actually get a more crisp, clear picture on the 4K OLED than the 8K Samsung right now, according to the tests that they're running. So it's like, plus there's no content that really supports 8K that much or anything like that. So I'm not really worried about 8K. I wouldn't, the new consoles aren't really targeting it either.
Yeah, I hate to say this, but 8K is definitely a couple of years away. You're basically just upscaling your 4K content to 8K. And the only reason I could see anybody investing in 8K is if they want, like, say, a 75-inch screen or something, or something larger. Then it would make sense for 8K, because you're going to get, you'll actually be able to see some of that clarity, even if it's upscaled. For like a normal user, 55-inch, 65-inch, 8K doesn't make any type of sense.
Zach in the chat, he says, yeah, they do run the pixel refresher. If you've had the TV on for over 4 hours, it'll, the TV actually cleans the uniformity of the screen while it's off. So it's got a ton of smart technologies like that. And if you're into, if you want a mid-range HDR TV, you really can't beat the TCLs right now. That is a phenomenal TV for the money. So the 6 series, they got a QLED now where they've added a quantum dot film to the screen, so you get a little bit wider of a color gamut, stuff like that. I actually got my parents 65-inch TCL QLED for Christmas because, hey, this is the least I could do for all the things they've ever done for me. So it's great TV.
For those that don't want to spend a lot of money, they don't want to get the C9. The C8 has the logo dimmer, the pixel shifter. It has most of the features that the C9 has, apart from, of course, the 120 hertz and, the HDMI 2.1, right? That's the big difference between.
If you want the full kind of future proofing for Series X, you definitely want the C9 and up. And I didn't get the C10. People are like, wait for that. It's like, no, do you guys not know there's not really a big image quality difference at all? It mainly comes down to that functionality. So the C9 had it.
The C10, I think it's going to have better processing, but it's going to be marginal, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But, and the big thing for me, for anybody getting a C10, would be the FreeSync option, because the FreeSync option is not on the C9. It has G-Sync. It has variable.
No, it has FreeSync with Xbox One. I've used it. They patched it in. I used it. I clicked it, used it.
Yeah, it's a false positive. It doesn't support FreeSync. But
you might want to tell Digital Trends that, D-Batch. Where the fuck were you when they made that video, huh?
No. The C9 doesn't support FreeSync. That's actually true. But the C
I'm gonna have to look into that one. I'll be back.
The C10 will support FreeSync, and that's only the reason to get it if you're on PC and you need the FreeSync. Variable refresh rate is going to be supported by the Xbox Series X, so it doesn't even matter that the C9 doesn't have FreeSync, because of variable refresh rate, you got support on the Xbox One X.
Oh, that's what I meant. My bad. Variable refresh rate. Yeah, my bad. I had the wrong thing. I used variable refresh rate, and not that you'll really need it, because the frame rates will be a lot more locked on the next gen consoles and all that. So it'll be less useful than ever. It was definitely more useful with this generation of consoles, given all the inconsistencies in frame rates. But, variable refresh rate won't be nearly as useful when you have a locked, actual targeted frame rate on something like Series X and the lock cards. So keep that in mind. Again, shout out to 800 still here. Sorry, we're talking about TVs, but I had a few questions about that. It was kind of a big tweet that I put out there that I was going to go ahead and grab one of those, and there's a lot of people on the fence. So,
Dealer, I got to say, you've come a long way. I remember you used to rock that edge-lit Samsung TV, and once you went to OLED, you never turned back, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, at the time, man, what was that, 2015? I got a 70-inch 4K and didn't really know much about TVs back then, and I went on your suggestion, fuckface, and actually picked it up. And for the size, it's a 70-inch, but things were more expensive back then. But OLED or top-end QLED for now on. If you spend this much time gaming and stuff like that, you gotta see the images. If you got the means to, that is. Otherwise, man, TCL is the way to go.
And I know, I just get so hyped talking about TVs. But one last thing, OLED too, a lot of people don't realize this, has the best pixel response time, Period. No other technology has as good pixel response time. So that means you're gonna have a blur-free image. OLED's fucking the king, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely awesome, and I'm very interested in micro LED. But hey, we'll see how that turns out, guys. Again, thanks for rocking out with us. Show was a little different tonight towards the back half, but again, you know, it is what it is. We'll let information come out, and we'll see who's wrong and who's right. And based off everything we've been told by, again, I don't know how you could possibly see the show and see all the people that have been on the show and see the people in the chat of the show and people that have tweeted about the show and all this stuff and say, oh, they don't know anybody or they don't know anything. Like, that's just coming from somebody who don't watch or a hater or whatever. That's fine. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But at the end of the day, like, you know, just bear with us, and hopefully we'll see those power targets come to fruition for the new systems and all the other stuff. So, again, we are going to head out, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Show this to a friend, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, support the guys on the panel. I'm Dealer, and we're out.
Join us next week for Dealer ND Tech Talk TV.
Yeah, we send out twice.